One, two, 1, 2. Stream's gonna start in a second. Y'all, thank you for everybody trickling in. I know I posted this earlier today, so you guys should already know. If you still are guessing who is going to be on today's stream, go ahead and put it in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, put it in the chat if you already think you know who's going to be on today's stream. We got three special guests. It's going to blow your mind. These are the top 3 infantry players, ladies and gentlemen. Just give us a minute and we're going to be live.
Sure.
Alright, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start this thing. It's your host with the most, ain't nothing close, Reginald Noldis. And ladies and gentlemen, today we have a banger. Oh my god. It's a pleasure to do this myself. For those of you out there who really been sticking to the channel, you know I'm an infantry main. I started way back, you know what I mean, with like the Lilith. If you look at my first video ever, probably like I think it's like a year ago. It was my baby ass Lilith versus a chief. In my first 5 weeks of this game, I already caught beef with some dude, and it's a pleasure to have the guests that we're gonna have on today, because they know infantry inside out. They've reached the apex of infantry. Without further ado, let me get Iron. Let me get your intro, brother. Let the people know who you are.
Yeah, hey, I'm Spanky on 1267, I think, with first. Basically, main infantry. Been maining infantry probably since maybe 3 years now, when I made the swap to King from Pictor. So yeah, and yeah, I mean, basically, I've always been single focused into trying to always punch above my weight. You know, now I'm getting a little fat myself now, so it's getting a little harder these days. But there's always challenges out there.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that. Let's get Oldman. Let's give him your intro. Let them know who you are.
Greetings. I'm Oldman. I'm currently in EXE on 780, and I've been an infantry main. Wow, I think at least 5-6 years.
Perfect. All right, and last but not least, he's won my little version of replay of the week. He's maybe won it once or twice. The one, the only ScienceReligion, also test subject. Give me the intro, brother.
Good evening. So I go by test subject or science, test for short. And I've been an infantry main since the very beginning. I love the high risk, high reward play style.
All right, perfect. And just so I think this is a very interesting thing to do also early in the video is to go ahead and just tell everybody, what got you guys into Ark of War. What lit that fire under your butt? Like, was it you zeroing somebody, or somebody zeroing you, and then you coming back and saying, you know what, I'm going to learn everything I need to know to defeat my enemy by overpowering them or outwitting them, or by other means of teamwork. So let's start with Iron. Go ahead and let us know, tell us your story. What got you into Ark of War, and what lit that fire under your butt to pursue it to this level that you're on now?
I was playing another MOBO game that was literally the exact same thing as this game, almost to a T.
Mm-hmm.
And I was maybe a moderate spending in the game, and went up against the server boss, for months and months at the time. some of the things were, mechanically different, but yeah, and I don't know, we finally took a capital, and then he spent $30K in one weekend, and I rage quit. I vowed never to do another mobile game like catch-all game again. Here I am, and it's just I like the thrill of it. There's definitely a rush when you're sending a full load of troops out there. That's really going to cost you, either hurt your pocketbook or you're not going to be able to play for 6 months collecting RSS on tiles to repair them.
Mm-hmm. Right, perfect. And let's get Oldman. Let get your origin story and what lit the fire under your butt.
I think I started on World 500, and it was a merger. I was, we were on a little planet. I thought I was pretty good at my 6, 7, 8 million, whatever it was, and we merged with a much larger world, and I was getting absolutely destroyed. And I was like, okay, I'm better than this. I got to figure out something. So instead of just casually playing, I started, digging into the mechanics and trying to find ways that even though I was smaller, to beat the bigger players that had bigger arcs and were further along the game than I sure was. And I just started, working at it, trying different things and failing at many of them until I finally found some things that succeeded. I got very lucky, I think, for myself. I got into a guild, I think it was my second guild, where one of the people was one of the theory crafters and was really helpful and really would reach out and say, hey, how can we, educate you? And you could ask questions and get specific answers, because the game, as we're all aware, has no help guide, no breakdown, no information, and you needed somebody to help say, hey, that's stupid, or that'll work, or try this, and that's really started getting me into it.
Absolutely, and I'm glad to hear that. Sorry everybody on us watching the stream. Looks like I'm having some difficulty with the software, but I'll just go ahead and stream my phone from Discord, so that way everything works smoothly moving forward. But yes, perfect, old man. Glad to hear that. Did you have Ridiculous Badger by any chance when you were first coming into things?
What happened was some of the people in our guild were from Seraphim SR1, and we were associated with them. We're another world, smaller guild, but we had some direct relationship with them, and it just really helped out.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, no, that's awesome. All right, and let's get ScienceReligion. Go ahead and give us your origin story. What lit the flame under your butt to pursue Ark of War at the level that you're at now?
In short, a sense of responsibility, and that is, I have often been guild leader in the different guilds, and I was very fortunate to find information. Man was a part of at one point. I got started way later than Oldman did. My first server was 1325, but as a guild lead, I always felt it was my responsibility to try and do the most that I could for my guild, and so I've always been very competitive, and I have a very strong sense of responsibility for those that are under my care, and so I feel the need to try and figure stuff out and do the best that I can to make sure that I'm putting forward whatever is possible for those that are under my care.
Absolutely. No, that I think that's a great example of how there's so many different avenues for a person to get into Ark of War, and what lights the fire under their butt. For you was the responsibility. For some, it was literally being zeroed. For some, it was zeroing others. And I think one person on my last stream said that what really got him into Ark of War was he was outpowered, but the coordination between him and his guild was able to get him to zero a bigger player. I think it was the server boss at the time, and that boss ended up jumping. Yeah, that was definitely on the Walker stream. But beautiful. Everybody has a different origin story, and everybody has a different reason for pursuing the game to the level that they're at right now. give me one brief second, guys. I want to change one last thing. Is there anything that you guys want to jump into first? Let's say, I think that let's do the first topic of what's your advice to the new guys, the new players? And I see you guys in the chat. I see you, Synergy, Regal Book, what's going on? Architect, I see you, what's going on? And I see Test Subject saying hey in the chat. But yes, let's go ahead and let's talk about the tips that you would give out to the new players, who are just starting the game, maybe in the first 4 months, what commanders to use. What's your advice, guys?
Well, for me personally, I would say you don't want to start off too strong. I would start off trying to find a good Discord where you can learn, where you can build connections, get to know people. It'll save you a lot of heartache. The less informed you are when you start, the more heartache and the more mistakes you're going to make that everybody else has avoided. And if you don't educate yourself and don't really start off with a good knowledge base, then you will find yourself blowing yourself up on a far too often basis. Whereas if you make the right connections, talk to the right people, you can make that starting environment substantially smoother, and that will make your playing experience so much better too. Now, if you're starting on a brand new server, then it may be a little bit harder to get some of those make some of those connections at the start, unless you're watching a YouTube video like this. Then you may be able to find some people that you can make those connections with. But if you're starting on a more mature server, then for example, you've acquired an Ark and you're starting on a more mature server, then it's probably a little bit easier to gain those contacts. But you have to pursue knowledge first. Otherwise, it's going to be a very rough ride.
Absolutely, I absolutely agree. There's I think one of the common things you guys have heard me talk about time and time again, it's the guild that saves you from possibly your first or second PvE wipes regarding event monsters. My first, almost, I didn't zero myself, but it was bad. It was like 500-600 T7 that I had lost going up against an event monster, because the jump from 6 to 7, you beat 6 so convincingly that like you almost take a troop loss of 3 or 4, and then you go and you fight a event monster level 7 so early game, and you will lose the entire match almost every slot, and you're just like,
well, when
What?
When 7P released the Event Monster 10, there was T12 people that lost thousands of T12s against that ghillie.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ.
I was on a server where I was the sole player that could do level 9 and 10 event monsters for the entire server one time, because I was working with LOP at the time, and so I had gotten my Ark prepared for that, where nobody else on server. It was a semi-open or a closed server at the time, so there were really no other people that had gotten to that point. I felt like my fingers were bleeding by the end of that event, because every 4 hours you're taking all the level 9s and 10s, and talk about putting yourself forward fast at little investment. That's the kind of stuff where you make an investment and you reap tremendous benefits. So if you're a newer player starting off and you make the right connections, you're educating yourself, and you find yourself in a situation where, okay, I'm on a brand new server, but I'm one of the only people that figured out how to efficiently kill these things. Well, that's real value without having to make any extra investment.
Absolutely. And one of those big values is Stella. Stella early game with the Ares, and I think it's Virgo. What is it? Ares, and it's one other gem. But basically, there's like this build with Stella where even with like maybe 400 or 500 leadership, with the right gems and enough dodge, you can beat a level 20 monster with Stella. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Well, they're talking event monsters.
Yeah, we're
not,
event monsters. Yeah,
not daily monsters. Yeah, yeah. No, with enough dodge, you can deal with the ones on planet for sure.
yes, and we're just talking about how like early game, basically what commanders you would focus on, and infiltrate.
There has to be, I think to go on top of what Oldman was saying is there also has to be willingness on the player to learn, because there's a lot of people that just play and they just play because it's a social game and that's fine. But if you actually want to get into the end game meta and roll with the bigger guilds, that there has to be willingness to learn on the player itself.
Yes,
And that goes a long way.
Well, and there's sort of an evolution. I mean, an initial player is going to fight players bigger than himself, so he's going to need to be designing like an ITS, an ignore tier suppression commander.
Yeah.
Something like that will allow him to take on people bigger than him. Then he's going to maybe step into SWE, then maybe he's going to find a single slot bust commander, and then finally, at the pinnacle, you have full march commanders. And those are each different things, so a player can be effective if they consider what they're going to do and build and work on that build. But the only way you can work on a build is understand the mechanics that are behind that. And that's the hard part.
right.
It's not always easy to understand the mechanics when you can't sim it, when you can't test it. It's really you need to put a lot of faith in who you're getting your information from. So let's say you're informing yourself on the Discord and you find out, oh well, you know what, this build would probably work well for me. Are you going to spend your first 25 bots, your first 30 bot on committing to that build, and then to come find out, well, actually that didn't work as intended, or the meta shifts and you find yourself, oh well, now a better alternative is available. It's quite a commitment too in moving on with something like that when you aren't able to sim it, when you're part of a massive guild with a bunch of players with all 50 gear. There's a lot more that can be simmed. There's a lot more that can be theory crafted with actual hard evidence before. When you're starting off, it's not easy because you're taking a gamble and you're assuming that it will work out. If it doesn't, what are you going to do? You can't just eat the equipment.
Right.
Yeah, there's very few cons out there that just work regardless almost with the equipment. You can almost see the damage ramp up on the equipment. Most times you need a specific set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed War Machine. Then the meta shifted away from War Machine, and so I'm looking at my War Machine. I'm like, all right, so with what I should be running next, which would be best in the meta going forward, I have 2 pieces from my War Machine set that I can use. That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Now I'm trying to figure out a way to mitigate damage from the new set. Because
I'm very opinionated on the new set. So I think the new set has to get nerfed.
I haven't. I agree 100%.
The new set is a great way to. I think Ark of War is pretty well designed. I think the combat system is very well designed. I think it was a little unfortunate that they added Broken Fortress, because it always was the case where even players with a lower investment stood at least a chance to damage those with a higher investment with ITS. Broken Fortress kind of eliminated that. And so that was kind of, I feel like, a faux pas on their part to say, okay, we're going to add one item that essentially eliminates those that are running ITS commanders, like a rock or a bullet. I don't think that was right.
And forcing them to go to level 22 and have to get formal halt if they're not infantry or they're not running.
Yeah, that was stupid. You should be able to, if you're going first, then you should be able to damage your opponent. Now, if your opponent's going first, then they should have a chance to just obliterate you, and then you shouldn't take the matchup. But then with the new set, you go so much further. The new set is not just, oh well, if someone has a better setup than mine, then they will beat me. The way that the reflect damage works on the new set is, if you are a terrible player, you will still trade somewhat reasonably because you have an automatic reflect. That's not okay. If you take a matchup that you under no circumstances should win, then you should get spanked. You should get spanked, and the other person that picked the right battle should not get spanked. And
I agree 100%.
And that's the major change with this 3-piece set is, even if you are not playing well and you're taking matchups that you probably should never be taking, you can often trade quite reasonably simply because of the 3-piece bonus. And there's counterplay to it, but there's really, I mean, the counterplay itself is rather expensive, and requires quite a bit. I think a more appropriate 3-piece bonus
and that counterplay, can be resisted.
Yeah. Now, I think a more appropriate 3-piece bonus would be that you go first. Why does it have to be you go first and you reflect?
Yeah.
Just have it be you go first. There's such a humongous advantage in going first.
Yes.
Why do you change something that's already a massive advantage and say, oh well, let's quadruple that and say, oh yeah, now you're going to reflect. What is it? 50%?
And bypass the Ark.
Yeah, and it's all with 3-piece. The 5-piece ability, though good, is nothing compared to the 3-piece advantage.
Yeah,
who cares about the 5-piece?
Yeah, I honestly think it is disproportionate too. Yeah, so the 5-piece bonus is not nearly as good as a 3-piece bonus.
It's 5 subsequent rolls of 20%. So you can actually get 5 all abilities, but you know what?
Five all abilities is still probably less than the reflect damage.
Yeah. I just hope I go first with my set and get through that first row and fourth slot and kill the Ark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I go up against another 3-piece set, I just hope I rebound enough that I still win.
Yep.
Which happened a lot. Which happened a lot against our fight against Dom. It was quite often that one or 2 slots would live, and it's like, I end up still winning on full March versus full March.
I think it took a lot of skill out of the game.
Yeah.
And one of the things that has always attracted me in Ark of War is, even when I was a newer player and I was playing versus other newer players, the game required skill. When I'm a more veteran player playing at the highest level, the game requires skill. If you are skillful at battling, which a lot of in EXER, First is a great example of a good group of skillful fighters. You have these groups that do incredibly well because they have skill within the game. It's not just oh yeah, well I throw money against the wall and it automatically purchases me a victory. No, you have skill that really makes a determination too. And I think that's to the detriment of the health of the game, is the more you take the skill out of it. And the 3-piece, to a large extent, I think, takes skill out of the game.
Yes.
Walkers have a lot of their talents are able to help mitigate and actually even eliminate that damage completely. But on the infantry side, it's right now it's rough because you're gonna have to at least planet side or Cassian side, you're gonna be matching your marches up against what you're fighting, so that if you do kill the slot, you don't kill your whole slot. You just want enough to kill what you're facing.
Yeah. Let me quickly jump in. On that note of the new talents, what I've actually seen is it's a resurgence of tier 9 through 11. That's what those talents really, really do. In the Walker episode, what I think is what we were able to see from I want to say his name wrong, but Balu, from what we're able to see from Balu was that he started to use tier 11 and tier 10 so that he can get infantry and walker skills. And what he was able to do was not only sleep the first row, he was able to go ahead and just use he basically turned the walkers into disabling comms with the tier 11, and he would just mix and match the talents on infantry troops and walker troops. So that's what I really think it is. I think it was primarily a resurgence of the mixed troops, and yeah, you get some benefits from the single troops, but that's what I think it was there for. Go ahead.
So I know the build that you're talking about that he runs, and so it works great in a given situation, and so he's done an amazing job at put a good, well thought out build together that is effective if you hit your win condition. And so you have certain builds like his that have a very specific win condition, and if you hit it, then you win. And so it's a very large risk reward build, meaning you're not taking a whole lot of risk because it doesn't require a bunch of troop investment. He doesn't run it with a bunch of troops. If he hits, which he does infrequently with that, or should infrequently with that, then the reward is massive. But you're often going to lose. And so when you have larger dogfights between massive guilds in, let's say, for example, CAS or in GC, you can't really have a ton of those builds because they work negatively on the loss counter. If you're fighting your server boss in a small server, that's an amazing build, right? Because you try and tire your server boss out because there's one server boss. In a let's say a playoff type scenario battle, it's a lot less effective because you have 30 server bosses on each side. So you can't have a build that's going to lose, let's say 20 times and work against the loss counter 20 times.
Yeah, because
now
you get 60 and you get locked out.
Yeah. So that's why that's a very good situational build.
Yeah, it's more for, well, at least what my enjoyment is, more Planet and Cassian type style of playing, because there's a lot of people that won't take the risks on Planet and Cassian side, so the chances of catching someone are a lot higher. Where in GC, there's the only risk is speed ups. There's and reputation, but there's really no other risk per se. It's that's one thing I do like about fighting, because I lose 6 slots. I don't like it, but it's not the end of the world.
Right. And I think that's very interesting.
Where other guilds, other people focus on GC, and that's great also. It's just, for me, GC's never been my thing. It's I've always been more focused on Castian and Planet fighting.
And let's quickly dive into that. I think that's a great segue or something to talk about. What would you guys say is the top 3 for infantry in GC compared to Cassidon, compared to server side?
At what level of play? It makes a very big difference.
Oh, okay, yeah. How about this? Let's get one commander for each level of play. Would you like, for me off the top, like if I was to say, from my experience server side, early game Lilith was useful, but no, I'll say early game was like Lilith, Stella, and maybe you got Gilly in 4 months. Mid game, I think like GC wise, then it's kind of like from what I experienced, you kind of just I would think honestly, you need a hold commander in GC. Like it would have to. I don't think infantry has too many defensive hold commanders. We're not really the ones to hold. It's primarily like Elf, Orochi, Reinhardt, who really gets to hold it down. While infantry kind of like gets the person out of the way. What do you guys feel about that for GC?
What do you think, Oldman?
I think for beginning players, it's Bullet, Nico, those kind of things. Mid-range, they're pretty easy to get. They don't require crazy equipment. Stella, Gilly. Then we get into the high-level play. Then it gets a lot more confusing. I think there's Czar, Mechanical Puppet, and Stella, Gilly are those, depending on how you've built them. I think that to me would be like the progression from entry level to mid to high. I think you have to look at what everybody is doing, what your guild has, what you need, what you can build, what's in your budget to build. Because you could look at the highest level players, and it just may not be in your budget. It's not. So you got to look at where you are as a player to determine what commander you should try to run.
Absolutely.
As a transition, also you can look at other commanders if you're breaking into the tier 9, tier 10 troops and tier 11 troops. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself into infantry commanders as well. You can go look at Lady and the Beast that has a bypass DR feature by missing, and a lot of times you do miss when on a younger planet because you just don't have the research. And then from there, when you go from T10 to T11, you can go to King or to Ira, which is always an option.
Right. And real quick, I just threw it on the stream. This is the top 5 commanders. In my opinion, you could probably swap Mechanical for Caesar, but I really do think Mechanical holds it down with the 60% damage blowing through, bypassing 60% damage reduction, and I think the HP also. And then when you have the weapon, he gets both, and you put that with a Fumo Hall. This is probably the hardest hitting commander in the game, bar none. But so I kind of left it in this order, but I know a lot of people would put it in the order of, I think I swap it in just a second. Yeah, I think this is the order. The middle being first, left of middle, where Mechanical Puppet is second. Third would probably be Dragon Slayer. Fourth would be Sister Wolf. Fifth would be Orochi because he counters Reinhardt and essentially does the same thing Reinhardt does. Would you guys agree that this is primarily the known top 5 commanders in the game?
I have a hard time with Mechanical Puppet being on the list right now, and that's because we've had at the highest level, there's been a very substantial shift towards some dodge heavy commanders, yes. And so Mechanical Puppet just gets bent over.
Yeah, no guaranteed standard hit.
I ran Mechanical Puppet up until going to Czar for the Dom match. And the only reason why I went to Czar was as soon as I went over the 3-piece set on Czar, I lost all my dodge, and there was no way to fit it in with no AC on the build. But I couldn't hit Oldman, and that pissed me off. Thank God I only ran into you once in GC.
Yeah.
Thank God.
That was a build.
I was probably like a 40% success rate. It was like hit and miss because I was kind of swapping hulls, and sometimes swapped the wrong hull and screwed myself over. But
I bet if you because you're not running disable, right? On that build, you were running preemptive, Oldman.
Correct. Yeah, because of black. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you go full trigger rate, that's when you're gonna have the best results against Oldman's Stella without trying to provide people with with answers to your build, old man, but I can't help myself. So
I know.
you if the trigger hole with Tsar, trigger pants, are probably going to give you the best possible. Would have at that time given you the best possible chance against Old Man's build.
Tess and I have done a lot of practice against each other.
I know. I just did. The ACC was the dodge on that bill was unbelievable.
Yeah, that was how much dodge did you have, Old Man?
Around 2,000.
Yeah.
Thing is, I'm able to get 2,000 dodge on my puppet, but then I can't hit anything.
Yeah. And I think it was what's it called? Test subjects replay. That really made me look at Comet Czar differently, because not only does he have a guaranteed hit, he has a guaranteed crit, and he was just blowing through Elf, because walkers they brought crit wither on the map. If you're an airship main, you just have good commanders where you don't necessarily have to give 2 cents about crit wither. You didn't have to learn about it. But if you were a walker main, you had to know what crit wither was, or you did not play defensive commanders, because they wouldn't survive. And so a lot of the reason why Elf was as good as she was because she had crit wither. So then when you look at Comet Czar beating up Elf because he has guaranteed crit, and that crit wither cannot. And just to clarify for anyone that doesn't already know, crit wither affects crit chance and critical damage. So even though Comet Czar is going to have that crit chance guaranteed 100%, his crit damage will be reduced by crit wither. So you're still working on some sort of defensive metric by having the crit wither, but at the end of the day, they're still going to crit and get double damage.
You always get double damage. I mean, But right now, I think tanks are in a tough spot right now, because I think every class now has a build that can basically one-shot every tank in the game if they have the right triggers.
Right, black being the primary one.
I know my puppet. If I had a double trigger, I can blow through any air tank or any elf in the game.
Yeah,
I know Comet Czar can do it. I know black can basically blow through anything. So tanks are in a rough spot right now.
Mm-hmm. Name me a walker commander that can blow through a tank in one hit.
True enough, you're right.
So, but I would 100% agree that air and infantry both have great options to blow through any tank. Even with Regulus, which is frankly stupid. If a tank is running, like if you have an air tank, you're running all HP, crit wither, Regulus pants, and final defense, plus let's say absolute defense as your plugin. Honestly, nothing should one-shot you through all of that.
And yet
it does. Yeah.
But it still does, is what we're saying here.
But it shouldn't.
And I was tests. I kind of knew I was going to end up eventually going over to a Comet Czar, and I did have a build kind of already built up, not quite the same, but similar-ish, same-ish, But then then the 3-piece set came out, and it's like, problem is was that rebound damage.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I'm kind of in a state where I'm not quite sure what to do with my Comet Czar. So it's still a work in progress, and it's probably going to end up going to because of the first strike bonus. It'll probably be a 1-slot bust with 5 troops beside it.
Yeah,
definitely. And while we're in the midst of that conversation, do you guys want to throw up anything on stream to better dive into a topic or to show? Do you guys have anything that you want to throw on?
I can, but I'm gonna have to disconnect and reconnect because otherwise I can't stream because my game's on my phone.
All right, perfect.
So
and while you
I'm too old to think
different.
about switching and swapping and.
I'll sound different.
It's not a problem. Let us know when you switch over. But you can do it. It's through the Discord. You pretty much screen share. So if you were having this conversation on the phone, where
we do pimp my Ark sessions through Discord. My problem is that I use my my Discord on the PC for actually talking because I use my PC headset, and so I have to use my phone. I'll be right back.
All right. Anybody in the Discord right now want to go ahead and maybe throw up a replay or throw up something that you want to talk about? Pull up a commander on the screen, even with no gear, and describe, what that commander brings to the table. Like for example, right now, I think the biggest mystery outside of Mysterious Warrior, right? Lol. But the biggest mystery right now is, or has it already been deciphered, that Iron Fist Craig doesn't seem to be the Reinhardt of Infantry.
I think it's just another example. I mean, Black Widow came along, looked like it might be, I don't know. That's going to have to be played out. Some people are really going to have to find something magical there. It has potential, but it's not proven. It's not consistently proven in my mind, at least.
Yeah, I agree. Sometimes I look at replays and it's like, wow. And other times it's like,
yeah.
And no, the one thing I do like about it is that its curse damage does not rebound back to you, which is a really nice feature. So if you're going up against another 3-piece set and you actually have first strike, there's a good chance that if you kind of design where you actually don't hit, but you just hit with your curse damage, she might be able to blow up the whole slot without actually taking any rebound damage.
Mm-hmm. No, you're absolutely right. That's the I think the primary suspects was Ira, King, Elf. All of their primary ways of damage, like Mind's Eye, Curse, all these ways of damage don't happen in the order that would get it reflect back to you. So if you kill troops with those damage skills, you don't seem to take damage.
Yeah. Look, it's basic non-main damage. So yeah, curses and secondary skills. Like I think if you have probably Hubarian's counter move wouldn't take damage either. So right now I'm trying to find a way to either mitigate, reduce, or eliminate taking that rebound damage.
Absolutely. But what do you guys feel about that topic? Like, I really do feel the devs missed the mark on that a little bit. Iron Fist Craig should have been the Reinhardt for Infantry. And there should be a Walker version of what Reinhardt does. And maybe the reason why the devs chose not to go this route is because even Reinhardt doesn't come online without absolute defense. So
the problem is Reinhardt's broken because it doesn't do damage. It does kill units, and so it sort of bypasses all the mechanics.
Yes,
and that's the problem with it. It's nice if everything's within. This is damage reduction, this is damage, this is true damage or whatever. But having something that's totally outside the standard mechanic means you can't do much about it, and it leaves Reinhardt in a position it shouldn't be in. You shouldn't be able to take T1 and T2 units and kill a stack of T12. It's just wrong. I'm sorry, but and as much as I hate to say it, 7P has a love thing for air commanders, and it's like whatever infantry has, air should be better. Whatever walkers have, air should be better. And it does get annoying.
And all our good skills get to be used by everyone.
Yeah, and all the good infantry skills should be usable by everyone. Yeah, that's really
everyone gets to use preemptive. Anyone can use cannon.
Canes, preemptive, wings, whatever. It just come on. It's just very frustrating.
but I will say, I have heard that when it comes to the talents, it seems like Air got the short end of the sticks when it came to the talents.
Well, Air, I think infantry got the best, then Walker, then Air. Yeah.
Right.
I'll send you a screenshot here that shows you just how broken Reinhardt is. And so this is from I have test subject arc, which is infantry, and that's from the Reinhardt, my air arc, which is a Reinhardt.
Hey Regal, did I fix the audio? I know I sounded distant a moment ago, but now it should be a lot better. let me know. And Synergy, I do see in the chat that you said you lost 3,000 Eye of Greed the first time you hit a level 10 event monster. Damn, bro, the feels. The feels. Yeah, it's very important early game to get a guild. That literally will save you from your first and your second PvE wipes. But yes, we're looking at it here. We have a ScienceReligion showed us this Reinhardt with what is this Crit Wither build with the Beetlejuice pants, 2 Aldebarans. And he's going against, Reinhardt with the same gear, except for the pants is only different. And let's see, Hummingbirds, even versus himself. he does an amazing job.
That's 20,000 Hummingbirds, which is the equivalent of, like 200,000 leadership dead, versus essentially almost 9,000 T12++ on the other Reinhardt, which is the equivalent of 6 or 8 million leadership off the top of my head.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a magnified.
That should never happen.
Mm-hmm.
That should never
happen. Yeah. Now I hear you. I would say this is a magnified version of what we've seen back in Ridiculous Badger's channel. Do you remember that replay where Ridiculous Badger showed that one of his friends had Reinhardt on a tile, and the server boss was just swinging around, and he couldn't remove this one guy from the tile, so he literally sent Rogers. He sent a whole bunch of commanders, and he just kept getting his, kept losing. And then on one of them, he even sent Reinhardt versus the guy on the tile, and he still was losing. And you heard Ridiculous Badger laughing during the video. It was a hilarious video, and I think this is just a more of a magnified version of that example. Of when you don't run the commander correctly, you kind of put in a bad spot.
Now, that UNT player, in this specific case, it's not like he didn't use the commander appropriately. The issue that he was running into was he was missing. I was missing on his troops, and he was landing hits on my troops. And so with him landing a hit on my troops, he is triggering Reinhardt's heal. Whereas I am missing his troops, so I do not trigger Reinhardt's skill, which is a heal. So my T1 are healing, while his T12, the Scion Shuttles have an inherent heal, but his other T12 are not healing. He's using higher quality troops, but there's no way that a T1 Reinhardt in any case should ever be able to just wipe a full max lead. This guy probably had an 80 or 90 AI bot too to top it off, and he straight up lost the battle. It's not, and that's a problem with absolute defense. If absolute defense is not in the game, this never happens.
Yeah, I've seen Gillies go up, high attack Gillies with full pen, 6,000 in a slot, just die.
Right, and
that should never, and that should never happen. Basically, when you have that many T12s up against a T1, it should get obliterated. Doesn't matter how much DR you have or whatnot.
No, definitely. But I think I do believe I want to get this out of you guys. Maybe I'm not being clear enough on this. Do you not believe that there should be an infantry version and a walker version of Reinhardt that does this same exact role, what he does?
I would much rather they remove Reinhardt's ability to do this than give the other troop types the same bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would you? In my opinion, this is actually like for me, my style of play. I'm more free to play. Like I buy maybe a particular commander if I really want them. Like the only times I purchased was so far for Gilly and the skin of the Ark Hall. And when they do stuff like this, it's for the free to plays. It's for the free to plays to not just go to like a GC and be like, hey, I'm gonna have to send weenie marches the entire game. Meanwhile, Fortnite is out. You know what I mean? It's like, why would they sit here and play, send weenie marches to help other people get first strike and have no say-so on the battlefield, or no, they have no real role when there's better games to play.
There's, we live in an age where you got Fortnite, you got Call of Duty, you got Street Fighters, you got there's so many different genres. You have battle royales, you got Wild Rift, you got League of Legends. There's so many different genres in the time that we play. They have to do something for the middle to zero spenders, and I think that's what Reinhardt really does. Hence why everybody plays Reinhardt.
The issue that I have with that is, let's say you're a free to play player and you play Reinhardt. So Reinhardt does damage based off of the amount of surviving troops. So let's say I am a free to play player and I have 100,000 leadership, and a spender comes along with a 200,000 leadership Reinhardt, and we go head to head. Well, his Reinhardt's going to deal double the damage or more. Let's say you guys are hitting each other. Neither of you have absolute defense, so you each hit each other for 50k. So 50k troops worth. So of your 100, 50,000 die, and then 50,000 do reflect damage. Of his 200, 150 die, so 150 survive and do reflect damage. His commander, that's twice the leadership size, is now doing 3 times more damage to yours, because in both cases you have 50,000 surviving versus 150,000 surviving. So you get to a point where it's impossible for you to trade as a free to play, because if every troop type has this available, then everybody's going to run it. Not just the free to play, the spenders would run it too. You have a lot of spenders that run Reinhardt.
On my alt arc, I run Reinhardt, and it's really the only commander I has, and I adjust the troops I have against other Reinhardt users, just so I can have more leadership, so I can kill them.
Yeah, and the reason
simple as that.
Go ahead.
It's as simple as that. Just you put more leadership on it, and you'll generally kill another Reinhardt.
Yeah, well, that's true too. But what I want to get at, maybe you guys are missing what I'm saying here. Everybody is running Reinhardt, like from a. That's like the equivalent of, like, let's say something. And by the way, test subject, I have the stream on you right now, so thank you for throwing that up.
Okay,
it's on you. And the reason why I say every class should have it is because, dude, it's the most overran thing in the game. Like more than equipment, like more than all of us in this conversation have equipment in common. Like all of us have a sweet set. That's probably common, right? But all of us also have a Reinhardt. You get what I'm saying? And everybody on our server has a Reinhardt, and everybody on every server has a Reinhardt. So, like, from an outside perspective, that's like the equivalent of looking at Call of Duty. And then let's say the first weapons that you start with, right? There's a particular medic class that has let's say a BR, or a particular standard weapon that they start with that can get you 3 to 4 kills on like, let's say 3 versus 1. And this particular gun gets you this amount of kills. So then everybody goes, yo, I'm running medic with this thing. And now you go look at a Call of Duty match, everybody would be running medic. And you would look at that game and go, wow, what are the developers thinking to make something so, like, at the base level so good that everybody has to run it? And it doesn't add diversity. So the same thing with Ark of War. Looking from an outside perspective why is everybody running Reinhardt? Well, it goes back to the devs not providing a Reinhardt for walkers, not providing a
it's also cheap to run.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's sure. Yeah. If you have a million lead Reinhardt and you lose all 6 slots to a sister wolf, it's not that cheap. But when you're looking at compared to a full slot of higher tiers, yeah, it's really cheap to run.
Yeah. I definitely think, you guys don't agree that it would spice in the game up more if we just had, like, variations of Reinhardt on Walker and Infantry?
I don't think we need Reinhardt. I think the problem is you could take Absolute Defense and throw it on a road sheet, and it would do the exact same thing. Sure, you won't kill any troops, but you'll still win all your battles.
Yes. And
I would much rather have them see them fix Broken Fortress so that it doesn't counter something like Rock or Bullet, and you take some power out of Reinhardt. And because essentially all 3 classes had the equivalent of an ITS commander, you just made one just OP by adding absolute defense to the game, and then you further damage the other ITS commanders you had by adding essentially Broken Fortress to the game.
Yeah.
So if you make a change to Broken Fortress and make it that it doesn't stop ITS, and you take a little bit of power out of Reinhardt by nerfing absolute defense, or make a different change where he may do less damage, then I think you fixed a balance that was lost. There was a healthy balance at some point. We just lost a healthy balance by them adding stuff to the game that really they didn't think through.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the play move with the new Sunraven set is pretty straightforward. They wanted new spenders, new big spenders, to be able to overcome the old big spenders. Because what it would take for right now for high-end guys to take 50 gears, 50 sets that they have on their commanders, and then boom, there's this new set. Now, like that shift from my old gear to the new set, it's almost heartbreaking to see, because we know that you're only going to get, let's say you have 50 gear, you're only going to get, those 4, like those 5 up till 50. But the 45 to 40, the 40 to 30, the 30 to 35 and below, all that's gone. And that's a big...
There's a reason why my Raven set's not full 50 yet.
Exactly. So, and then that's what I feel. By the way, that your Ark right now is sexy as hell, bro. I love that skin. I think that's the...
Appreciate it.
What is it called again? The Old Shrubbelis? Like, it starts with O? Can you go to the Ark screen real quick so you can see the skin? The name of it? I think it starts with an O. I forget the name of it.
The Vanaheim.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that thing is so sexy. Valheim. Okay, there you go. My bad. Bro, that is in my heart, that's like top 2. That's number 2 right now. The newest one that came out is number 1, and that one is definitely second. Sorry to digress. I just love that skin. And but yeah, we could. I guess that's a conversation.
You like the Anubis better?
Yes, I think that's the number 1. Hands down, that's the best Ark in the game. That's the one I actually spent bread for myself. The Anubis. Well, what's your personal tier list on the real quick? Let's get a personal tier list on some skins.
Well, this one has a special place in my heart because it's the 001 of the very first edition of them putting out skins. So this one has a special place in my heart.
Exactly, you're right. It's the first edition mint. Oh my god. But yes, man. Maybe that's just a conversation in my heart though about the Reinhardt thing. I think it's really for just the low E guys, and for people who are watching who don't understand what we're really getting at when we're talking about Reinhardt being on a different league of his own compared to Rock and Bullet. I can confirm that Rock's Annihilator Ray it bypasses Sweep. So even if someone's sweeting you and you hit them with Annihilator Ray, you're still going to get the damage. So that is fine there. But I can't say the same with Bullet. You know what I mean? I have not tested Bullet to where his Ghost Cannon would beat Sweep. And we all know that it beats Tear Suppression, but those two skills, Annihilator Ray and Annihilator Ray and Ghost Cannon, they both lose to damage reduction. And meanwhile, Reinhardt's Thorns, I don't believe it takes the hit to damage reduction. It doesn't really get hindered by damage reduction, has the other two skills that we just named. And that's what I'm primarily getting at. The fact that Infantry and Walker do not get to beat Sweet, ignore Tear Suppression, and it's Sweet, Tear Suppression, and damage reduction. Yes, those three things. Reinhardt gets to beat all three. That's why everybody runs him. And it's really sad that Rock and Bullet, if you run a Rock and Bullet, people are like low key in the back of their mind, like, you should have ran Reinhardt. You know what I mean? And it's really sad that we don't have anything for that. And that's my biggest push to the devs is like, we need something like Reinhardt on Walker and Infantry to spice in the game up. It is what it is. Like the big guys are gonna shit on the little guys, but hey, give us something to make them think twice. Like I know some of these guys are gonna get really hurt. I was trying to look for the replay of that Reinhardt on Badger's channel. But at the end of the day, your big players may get hurt every now and then. But what is this game without your low free to plays, without your mid spenders. You know, this game would.
I'm absolutely
be,
not. I'm absolutely not against seeing rock and bullet special abilities bypass damage reduction. It's they have that.
My worst hit that I've ever taken server side was from a bullet, and that was when I was invading a server where we ended up establishing hot, and the worst hit I took from anybody was in scent, and it was from a bullet who triggered everything and just absolutely annihilated my T12. But I must say, Spanky, I think that's the best idea we've had so far. The idea you had where you give them a specific gear piece that allows them to ignore DR with their ITS. I think that's a really, really good idea.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. As a matter of fact, I'm gonna send in that ticket because I'm telling you guys, I'm a free to play, free to play. Yeah, at best, if you want to count the things that I did spend, you would say like a light dolphin. But there needs to be a reason for me to hit the battlefield and have confidence in what I'm doing. And
the light spenders need something that that they feel good about, and justifiably so. But you can't expect everyone to be hyper 10 and all max research and going head to head.
Right.
But it's sometimes these small marches from these smaller guys that scare the crap out of me.
Yeah, and that's
because they're tricky.
Yes,
and that's what keeps people.
And I'm saying that's what keeps the game healthy. Like, give us one or two little things to make one of the big players think and consider, like, oh, someone is on the battlefield with a brain. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and he's not, someone's on the battlefield with a brain, and even though he's a small guy, like, I give that little small guy respect. But let's get back into the bigger conversation. I know that's what everybody's here for, and I just wanted to go ahead and read one last thing here from the chat as we digress here on the free-to-play player conference. I spoke just now for the free-to-play players. So if you're watching this and you're a free-to-play and you wanted your voice to be heard, I just basically gave you your piece. But let's go here. I see Adriana was saying earlier when we were talking about airship, she was like, has an airship main. I feel attacked, guys. And Steve Kamu, what's up with you? I see Nava17 in the chat. What's going on? Synergy once again. Synergy saying here, I'm an infantry main. I run Reinhardt too. You see, that's what I'm saying, bro. It's just Synergy says. Synergy is also saying here, cheap to heal T1. And Steve Kamu says nowadays it's so much easier to one slot Reinhardt's though. Exactly, and that's the thing. That's what I think is the healthy balance. What they were saying earlier about, all right, give Bullet and Rock a weapon to to bypass damage reduction and to keep it where it's at. But they need something because they're not going to give Infantry a version of absolute defense. So if they got the exact replica of Reinhardt, it wouldn't really work without that particular skill. All right, but
because you can shot Reinhardt, but the problem is you have to commit a lot of troops, other than a few special builds.
Mm-hmm.
I got a funny one. I got a funny replay for you, Spanky, for Reinhardt. I thought it was not going to work anymore because of updates, but apparently it still is running.
All right, I'm going to jump to that now. And for anybody who's wondering what's on stream, I was just playing the video from Ridiculous Badger's channel. That's what's on stream right now. It says NYC GAN sends... let me go ahead and read that in 1 sec. It says, NYC GAN sends at T2 Reinhardt 5 times and loses. And that's the type of stuff in Ark of War that player, when that happened, where this big player was trying to bully him, but he was able to go ahead and win 5 times against him. I promise you that guy kept playing, is probably still playing to this day. Now, if that player...
I know exactly who Power High is.
Yeah. So, if this was not if this was not possible in the game, where a smaller player can check a bigger player like, hey, bro, you're not really thinking about why I'm beating you. You're just trying to powerhouse me right now. And was able to check him, he still probably wouldn't be playing. But the fact that he was able to do that reinvigorates him to go harder, and he's probably a spender now. You know what I mean? Because he's thinking, if I'm able to do this without spending, imagine if I do spend. And then, boom, birth of a spender. So I think it's healthy for the game. But yes, test subject. Let's jump to it, brother.
It is healthy for the game, and it's not necessarily that your free to play player has to be able to win 20 battles in a row, but they need to be able to do damage and at least have the threat of doing damage, and that just makes for a healthy game. And we all want a healthy game.
Absolutely. I know you guys do. You would not be on the technical side if you didn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, test subject, do you want to go ahead and show us what you got here, brother?
So this is my baby T10 DS.
Here we go. Pack-how. All of it gone. Wait for it. Pack-how.
So that Reinhardt Spanky is max final defense. So this is another fun thing that you can do with infantry, especially with a 3-piece.
And you're using tier 10 because that's where you get the perfect combination of airship and infantry, correct? As far as gems, skills, everything like that.
Yeah, and they work really well on DS. And so I use the TAR plugin, which the TAR plugin gives me ignore DR. And then I just load up the troop tech on the first slot, and whatever it kills, it kills.
Oh yeah. And that's I love how you're using that instead of for those who don't know why he's using tier 10 infantry is because that's truly the highest attack that you can get for that combination. Had he gone tier, I think it's 11 airship where it's air infantry, he wouldn't have that passive damage from infantry. Infantry has passive really, really high attack, and you will not get that if you went ahead and used the tier. Yeah, perfect. So you could show there. Look at that attack.
So if you look at the base attack, it's 5 attack per unit. So you have 200 units, 1,000 attack, 5 attack per unit.
And then jump to the perfect. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
And you're less than 2.
Oh, there it is. And that's what we're talking about here. Hopefully it's clear on stream. But yes, this is what we're talking about here around why you would use tier 10 instead of a tier 11 airship, which is airship infantry. You would go the other way around for the high attack. Same thing with Vega in that scenario. And let me get you. Go ahead.
The tech is also way better for like a 1-slot bust on the available tech for infantry.
Yes.
And I always say this. I look at infantry as like the witty class. You have to be witty. I look at walkers as the strategic class. You have to be very strategic. And airship is just about dominance. What do you guys feel about that? Like those one words with each class: witty, strategic, and
big
dominant.
dumb bullies. Airship users, big dumb bullies.
Yeah, dominance. Yes.
But so I feel like walkers are for those who have a lot of hope, and that hope that the tide will turn at some point in their life. And so they're firm believers, and they have true hope. They're optimists. Airships, they just know they're overpowered, and that 7P is going to take care of them, and so it's the easy route. And then infantry is I like high risk, high reward. I either going to blow someone up or they're blowing me up.
Exactly. Right.
I used to be an optimist.
And what do you guys feel about the gems? What are some of the prominent gems? I know I had somebody ask me recently. He wanted to know if he was running the right gems on his infantry. So could we just like lightly tap through some of the gems there and talk about some of the ones people should be using and for what what reason? Like what are some of the mechanics, some of the tips and tricks that you can get with certain gems that most people wouldn't know? And let's also cover the ones people would know. So yes, Canes. I'm talking Aries. You remember there was a time where I think it was like the Aries gem and
Like Yeah, Sagittarius is, if you're going to go for damage dealers,
Gemini,
is your
Sagittarius.
yeah.
Yeah, Gemini working with breakdown and Gilly's skill. Basically on that, if you have a skill that amplified the attack or put a amplification on what the attack would do, case in point would be Gilly's, what is this, non-violent resistance. It amplifies the attack so that it blows through 90% of the defense buff. And if you get that non-violent resistance and Gemini, so what'll happen is on that first hit, boom, it'll go ahead and blow through, it'll give the effect of non-violent resistance. And then Gemini gives you a second hit, and that second hit gets to carry on that buff of the non-violent resistance. So that's also a good thing there. You also want to know the skills that those work with. And I just saw you went through a couple of commanders there. Is this something that you wanted to show?
I was just looking. So I like the guaranteed hits for infantry.
Mm-hmm.
You have Sagittarius is a very good one.
Mm-hmm.
Gemini is also good. Andromeda is a very good 5-piece too. It gives you the opportunity to survive a round by shutting down the slot. Canes should be an infantry only 5-set, but for some reason is for all troop types. Who knows why? Yeah. So the walker specific and the air specific is specific to their troop type. For some reason, the infantry one is not, which is rather unfortunate. But Canes is very gnarly to deal with. It really has affected the meta quite a bit. Canes being available, so Canes has made preemptive as your fourth skill a lot more prevalent. Because it's one of the few that doesn't get affected, and it's also hurt commanders. That it has hurt commanders such as Mechanical Puppet, because if Canes is not in the game, then most likely you're not going to have a whole lot of, for example, airship mains running preemptive. And so then that makes Mechanical Puppet a lot more effective, because now the gems on Mechanical Puppet are not being shut down. And if someone has a dodge build, Mechanical Puppet can still work because he has Wings of Eternity and his gems available. So there's been a lot of consequences to some of these decisions that 7P has made, and I don't always think it's been for the benefit of the whole game.
Or well thought out, yeah.
It definitely reduces the choices, because
yeah.
I think if you're an air tank, you're running absolute defense, and that's all you're running. And if you're running black or DS now, you're running preemptive. Walkers can ignore these skills because they could bypass it all. And right now, I'm running preemptive on everything. I just swap it around, and only difference now is I think now with the 3-piece set, I'm probably going to get rid of preemptive until more people show up with the 3-piece set.
Mm-hmm. And real quick, stay where you guys are on this conversation. I just wanted to say two things real quick. Eric, what's going on with you, bro? I see you in the chat. I do remember you're a recent subscriber. I want to give you these shout outs. So once again, shout outs to you, Eric. Shout outs to Fiery Ark. What's going on with you? And what's up with you, G? Fiery Ark, you were asking, hey, how do I get Hancock? Real quick, let me see if I can. I'm going to tab real quick to show this guy real quick. Do you want to show him? Okay.
I can show Hancock.
Yeah.
I have him at a very...
Hancock.
Yeah, he was asking how to obtain him. Yeah,
right.
give me one sec. I'll just go ahead and show it on stream.
Action text.
Yeah. I'll show it on stream, and then you can go ahead and show your Hancock. Right here. You go ahead and do the faction task. For all you if you're in your first month, whatever the case may be, and you're wondering, wait, I missed out on, I don't know how to get Hancock. Hancock is available in the very early games when you have to pick a faction, and all you have to do is pick the Voltar faction, get it to leveled up to level 2, and once you get it to it's level 3 when you get the Revered, because that's when you get the treasure boxes. So once you get this leveled up, you come over here to faction task, and you'll notice Once you have it at level 3, you'll get the Voltar reward box at level 80. And when you have 80 faction tasks completed, and once you get that enough times, boom, you'll be able to go ahead and unlock him. I think it's 60 shards. So back to what I think it was ScienceReligion. You were showing something about Hancock.
Well,
Okay.
don't make the same mistake I did, and that was don't take Hancock to S class.
Why is that?
And
Why is that a mistake?
Well, I have my Hancock at 468 out of 480 medals, and so I have leadership stuck on Hancock. I have 18,000 leadership that I don't want on Hancock, but I can't remove because I didn't take him all the way to S class. And once you, as an infantry main, I have Nixa as my faction, and so it would cost me a tremendous amount to swap, and it is not worth me swapping. I need to somehow hope that at one point they release a couple more medals to get me over the edge there.
Absolutely. He's absolutely right. Your Hancock shouldn't really get over, I would say for a long time, in the beginning of the game, maybe 3,000 at best. Because remember, early game for you new players, you're looking to become your first big spike as a new player is when you get a tier suppression set and you get some box troops, and then you become a baby titan. That's your first big spike as a new player, and you start to, beat people that you didn't think you would be able to beat otherwise. I think maybe he's going to show that on stream now. But yes, that's your first big spike, I feel personally. And the best person to put those box troops on and to get like your biggest bang for buck to clear full slots of high tier troops is Reinhardt. Yes, the box troops, perfect. You want to get these box troops, you want to get whatever mixture that you want with Reinhardt. There's no one set march, because I can tell you right now, the same way people do marches with Infantry tier 11 and Walker tier 11, I think it is, and the same way you can do that is you could flip that around.
Chest, the commander chest below you. Has that got him in it? No, back up. No,
I checked, but I don't think it had.
Because some of the commander boxes will have him in it.
Oh, okay, that's really good if he's in there. But yeah, just
that one right there, the blue one.
Yeah, be mindful of tier 11 with what's it called? There's it's tier 11 or tier 9, but there's many ways to run Hancock, so keep your mind open on that. Maybe not that one. Let me see. You have another one? Let's see. Nah, no Hancock. Well, that's also another big plus. Now you guys know what's in the Class A Commander boxes. And yeah, let's see what's in the faction boxes here. And if you're infantry main and you choose, early game, I would honestly choose maybe Stella, but at the same time, you want to pick up that Reinhardt. So it's a tough battle. Honestly, my personal preference, if you're just starting out and you're an infantry main, go snag Hancock with the faction task. As soon as you get him, switch over to Nixa. Reason why is because passively you'll be maxing out your Wings of Eternity every time you pull a Stella from the Warp Gate and you have the faction task. Right now I'm still stuck on the Walker one, and I'm pulling Yuri. Yuri is not really that helpful. Meanwhile, you could actually get Wings of Eternity to level 30 if you have the Nixa maxed out, and you keep grinding that stuff there.
So yeah, he appears.
Classic cutout, Oldman.
I thought it was me.
Still
No.
there? Am I there?
You're
no,
back.
It's me. I have. It's always okay. You can get him in the Voltar reward box, the Advanced Faction Medal chest, and the Class A Commander Medal chest 2.
There you go.
So those are all other ways, and for events, obviously.
Mm-hmm. But definitely Stella. If you get Stella early enough, I don't think there's anything more frightening than month 1 and somebody's running Stella. There's nothing more frightening than that. Wouldn't you guys agree?
I ran Nekojiro first because Nekojiro was easy to take to S class and awaken, and he's cheap to awaken. So I ran Nekojiro and then Stella or Gilly after.
Yeah. But would you guys agree? Your first month, like, go ahead.
I mean Walker, so I was Galileo.
Okay.
You were one of them.
He was one of them.
Hey, I named Medusa, so there.
I did that. And then I went to then I went to Rock, which is probably the smartest thing at the time. Because before this, getting small, is that you can actually make rocks pretty tough in the first month or 2 months of the game.
But
you try to make them tanky. We
do all agree though. Like Stella first month is scary as hell. Like nobody's swinging as many times as Stella, so it's like she's almost game breaking. She's S tier, triple S tier in that first month of a server. First month, somebody gets Stella, that's triple S tier. Like she falls off.
If you have her, if you can get her up there. Now, if you don't have her S class and you can't get a plug-in to put a guaranteed hit on her, then she's going to struggle. Whereas if you can get a Nekojiro and you get him S class, he has a built-in guaranteed hit, and you can awaken him because he's a cheap awakening. And so you could have, if you have an S class Neko versus a non S class Stella, or if you have an S class versus S class, but one of them has a plugin and the other doesn't, or neither of them have plugins, then I think Neko's gonna do a little bit better.
Because Neko will dodge everything.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And of course, you're just starting, so you're just gonna have one gem in each slot, if you even have a gem in each slot in the first month.
Yeah,
definitely. All right, back to the high end tech. I know when I touched on the light stuff, there's some people who are like, yeah, they talking about the low stuff, and then some other people are like, yo, stop talking about that shit.
It's cool, but the beginning game is so short.
Yes.
Because then you get merged, and then you get thrown into the wolves.
Yes, the wolves, literally. Because my first server merger, I think, is like, you forget my first server merger. This for the newer players, it's getting worse and worse. I heard right now on semi-open servers, they have people with the Sun Raven set 3-piece. It's like, what the hell?
There was a guy running on semi-open with a bullet with Broken Fortress. He's destroying everyone.
Yeah, that, you know what I'm saying? Like, what are you doing to the future players? Because they're not gonna understand the game enough to combat in that at all. Like, you're killing off new players, and it's a brutal game. So if they weren't gonna stick, they weren't gonna stick. But damn, you gotta hit them with Broken Fortress and 3-piece Sun Raven. Like,
so I kind of take my 50 million out to newly open planets and pick on the people trying to take over the planet.
Yeah, it's
fun for a while, but then too many big people come in, and even a small rhino is overpowered. People are jumping in 100 million with 2 million leaderships on rhinos. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, I think the most famous guild for that right now is LGO. I was on a server with them for a while.
They're good. I've run with them on a couple of occasions. They're good. They're good people. They fight. They like fighting, and I have full respect for them.
Yeah, no, but they are stepping on some noobs though.
They're annoying shit. So, but yeah, I enjoy running with them. But
But back on the let's go back to the higher end, because I know some people fall off when we talk about that lower end stuff. So back to the higher end. Let's talk about. We already I threw it on stream, but I'll throw it on stream again right now. If you guys take a quick look, I'll say this is the top 5. Let's see here if I can't. Yeah, here we go. So I would say right now, let me see. This is the top 5 infantry. Number 1, with one flaw. Let's. Do we just give number 1 to Comet Czar, or can we give it to Mechanical Puppet with one flaw? Can we just say he has one flaw? Other than that, he's perfect. I don't know.
I think they're on par. I think it's hard to say. I would take a Mechanical Puppet up against a full Orochi before I took my Czar.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Czar right now, with the way the meta is changing, is probably a lot more versatile.
All right.
Yeah.
So I'll do
A lot easier to run full march, where you can't really puppet. Really, if you don't get through on the first slot, you're not going to get through.
Mm-hmm. And is that general consensus? Does everybody believe that? From what you're seeing on stream right now, of the what I would say is the top 5 infantry, which just in case you're not seeing it on stream, it's I was throwing it up, but let's just say I had it fixed. It would be Comet Czar in the middle, which is the number 1 slot. Number 2 would be Mechanical Puppet. Number 3, our late and great War Machine. Number 4, very debatable. I only put him there because he's new and he's relevant. I am seeing him in GC, and that's Iron Fist Craig. And then after that, I know, who's it? I forget, somebody here with the Stella is going to definitely combat this statement. But Gilly, I want to throw Gilly there because right now she's the premier disabled commander. Like if you're trying to do what you do with Mysterious Warrior, you might as well just run Gilly with Mysterious Warrior skill.
I think War Machine doesn't deserve to be in the list anymore.
No, me neither.
Damn, it's that bad. All right, let's do it. Let's do an updated one. Number 1. Can we all agree?
You could throw in an Ira if you want to run T11s. You could throw an Ira in there and.
Oh my God! No! Come on! We're keeping it pure infantry out here. We're keeping it pure out here. So I'll give the number 1 slot to Comet Czar. And the way I do the slots is just the same way as the in-game order goes, where the middle slot is number 1, second slot is number 2. You guys know what I'm talking about. Let me go ahead and put it here. So number 1, Comet Czar. We'll do number 2, Mechanical Puppet, where this golem is, and then we'll do number 3. What do you guys say is the number 3 slot then? If War Machine is kicked out,
I would say Stella.
Me too.
Yeah, it's just very, very, very versatile with the built-in preemptive, and then you can just plug in whatever you want after that.
The reason right now is with Haynes, the wings everybody loses, but Stella doesn't. So she actually can do, on average, 3, 4, 5 attacks around with Power of Infantry, which no other commander can do because all those are skills they lose due to Canes.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely right. And I think it's only right. Stella is our bottom bitch. You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody knows the pimp culture, but the bottom bitch is the one that keeps all the other ones in line, and she's been doing that with Wings of Eternity. Yeah, go ahead.
Unless you're old man Stella.
Stella, yeah. Let's put a comments around old man Stella. Anyway, so who would you say is 4th? We got.
If we're playing at the highest level, I would put Craig as 4th. If you're not playing if you're playing at the more of one of the mid tiers, then I would say Neko, probably.
All right, how about that?
Or Gilly.
Yeah, I like Gilly. Yeah.
Yeah. Likewise.
Would you pick Gilly over? Would you pick Gilly over Craig at the highest level?
Like as a one slot, I would take Gilly. I would take a Nico
the one slot
over
plus,
Gilly.
I like Gilly. Yeah.
All right. So how about this?
And Nico hits harder than Gilly if you have 100% pen.
Yeah.
Right. And
so that's one thing to consider. If all things are the same and you know you're not going to get wings anyways, but you have first strike, I would take Nico over Gilly.
Damn, Nico over Gilly. Okay. And so right now,
just because it hits harder.
Yeah. So the top tier, tier list is a swap between Gilly and Neko. I'm gonna just swap Neko in there just for a second so I can have that. So take a picture of that. If you're watching this on your phone, take a picture of this. Boom. That is the certified top 5 from the top 3. It's either going to be that or you're going to have your variation here with Gilly. Where is the baby girl? I'm going to put Gilly there because Gilly got me into this game. I remember I touched this game when I first take that screenshot. But I remember when I played Ark of War for like maybe a few hours. Then I went and played some other games, some more. I'm from the fighting game community, so I'm all about skill, execution, and reading your opponent's mind. I could literally be fighting somebody with the same exact character, and both of us have been playing that character for over a year. But the way we pilot the character is so different, and then the way we get the reads on each other takes it to the next level. And that's why fighting games is a very niche community in itself, just like Ark of War, is because not many people are willing to perform execution wise at that high level where you're doing 100, 150 hit combos, 300 hit combos, counter hit combos, frame traps, and that high end stuff. And same thing with Ark of War. It's just the execution is replaced with spending. And then you bring in the skill, and then
Rich
you bring
kids.
yeah, they're the rich kids, and then you bring in the skill, and then you bring in the mind games. But yes, when I was playing all these different games, the artist in me was like, yo, I can never forget the creativity of that character Gilly. Like, wow, bro, I just never seen anything like it. And I re-downloaded Ark of War, and I've been playing it since. But yes, this is the top 5 for any infantry people out there. I forgot. I think his name was Tyson. Tyson was asking me recently. When did you do anything about infantry? Here it is. This is what you're generally looking for, and you can read their skills. You heard us talk about it. You generally know what they're good for. So let's move a little bit below this. Let's say we were to do, this is the top 5. Let's do 6 through 10. Who would be in 6th place if this is the current top 5? I would say Neko, right? Neko would be the first one.
Well, I guess what I was he goes. There's a lot of commanders already out there to choose from, and if you're going to be a fairly new player or even medium player, you're just going to want to run with one of those top 5 and have your other 4 as utility or farming arcs anyway. So
right. No, of course.
Choose. I would say just choose one of the 5.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's going to be, after that, it's going to be probably Neko, Bullet. I mean, Bullet's got some, usability, definitely.
Hubarian is annoying sometimes.
Yeah.
Plasma.
Yeah.
Plasma, yeah.
Yeah.
But
what I have on screen, literally everything. What I have a video in the works right now, which is going to be the Infantry 3-part series. And I have to do the videos first and then do the storyboarding. So I had already dropped down to what I thought was the 6 through 10, and outside of Stella, everybody you guys just named was there. You guys had Stella higher than I had put her. I put her down a little bit low. I put her on a number 6. But yeah, it was. Go ahead.
I ran my Commissar in Starsea up against a full leadership Plasma with a 3-piece set. Let's say it was ugly on both sides. It was mutual annihilation.
Yeah. And how do you feel? What do you guys feel as infantry mains? They say Plasma is out of the game. He's been he's been outdated for a long time. And I just think that those are people trying to use Plasma who don't really understand that Plasma is meant for offensive comms. He's not supposed to go against a tank. What do you guys feel?
I play with him a bit. I played with him a bit just before Broken Fortress came out. I played it kind of as a sweet Plasma. So actually trying not to lose troops, but if I did, I did.
Yeah,
and it worked okay. But then Broken Fortress came out, and it kind of went down the tank. But now with the new 3-piece set, and I think it might have utility again. But I really don't like losing troops to win.
Yeah, it's marginal. Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Go ahead.
One of the other issues is so Plasma has his 40% skill, which allows him to, if he dodges, still do damage that is supposed to ignore DR. By my understanding, right now it doesn't really ignore DR.
Yeah,
which
we have to send in the ticket. I remember on the Walker stream, Balu.
There's so much gossip with.
Yeah, Balu was talking about how Monk's weapon says that basically, the missing HP damage increase that he would get from using that weapon would bypass. That it would work a certain way, right? And he ran his test. And over again, it was not snowballing because it would basically deal more damage off of the more HP that the troop lost, that stack lost. And so as the match went on, the damage was consistent. So he was like, no, this is absolutely bullshit because I'm hitting the troop and they're losing more HP. So if I'm doing 1.5 million this turn, if that's how much I did to them this turn, come next turn, I shouldn't do 1.5 million. I should be doing at least 20% more than 1.5 million because or at least based off of how much they lost in that 1.5 million. But when he saw that his damage was still consistent, he sent in those pictures and sent in the notes to the devs, and they actually went and fixed it. So there are bugs in the game.
Yeah, after 6 months of pitching and planning and chasing after them.
Yes.
Which I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
God, God love those people who do chase after devs, because like right now I know Marak is broken for a fact. I also know that the way invulnerability applies with the skills with infantry is broken. It doesn't always double damage the way it's supposed to. So yeah, there's a lot broken with infantry skills right now, which would make things a lot easier to plan if things actually work the way they're written down.
Right. Absolutely. And it's back on you, test subject, just in case you wanted to know. The stream is back on you if you wanted to show anything else. Also,
the vulnerability is a very annoying one for infantry because it opens up a lot of possibilities if that actually works as intended. And I'll pull that up here on the talents.
Absolutely.
So, vulnerability detection essentially places something that is like a debuff but isn't a debuff on the slot that is hit, making them to take more damage. Or if they're hit with precise strike on a vulnerable target, then technically that your hit should be double damage, and it is nowhere near that in any Sims ever.
Right.
So it's.
And can you go back to
I'm not even seeing the extra damage also taken from the new third tree either.
Right. And once again, anyone watching, please write your tickets about what these guys are talking about. You will see a change if you write the tickets to the devs. Trust me, I'm a game developer myself. Sometimes you put this stuff out there and you coded it to the best of your knowledge, and sometimes things interact different when the game is live. So I
was talking about super thermal bomb. That doesn't seem to be working either. I'm not seeing extra damage.
Yeah. I can't say I ever used a super thermal. The power shot is very strong.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can show off the power shot on an actual battle.
Yep, jumping right back to you. Boom. All right, here we go. It seems like I have to jump in and out of boom. Okay. Power shot.
So power shots on the attack troops. So this guy actually was trying to kill my troops and matched me specifically to try and wipe my march in a gate, I believe it was, during CAS.
Right.
And so this is the power shot. So it was 340 and you see the power shot afterwards. And so Regulus makes that first hit a little bit lower. Now you see the second hit. Now, power shot didn't go off on the second hit because it all disappeared. But that Regulus really decreases the damage substantially on the first hit.
Mm-hmm. And I was able to confirm for anybody who had the same thought process as me before. Wait, here it is.
And then power shot, 211 million power shot. So that's a substantial amount of damage.
Boom. And I just wanted to clear up for anybody who's out there wondering, because it was kind of confusing for me too. Can you click on those Regulus pants real quick? You can click on the one that the elf has. Also perfect. For anyone out there, you could also click on the skill from it. When you click on the pants, you could click on the skill. Yes. So for anybody out there who doesn't know, this actually is like after the final calculation. So it will actually bypass Mind's Eye and bypass other damage reduction effects. This rare form of damage reduction actually bypasses skills that say that it bypasses damage reduction. So that's why there's a meta shift between the Beetlejuice pants, and it's now everybody's wearing these pants. Because even though the Beetlejuice pants has the damage reduction just like this one has a final damage reduction that once again bypasses skills that say they bypass damage reduction, and that is crazy.
Yeah, it's a must-have against your kings and your Iras of the world.
Yeah, it's a 60% reduction of damage and that's the key thing. Because it says you take 40% of damage, which means you reduce it by 60, and it's on that first attack, and that really makes it solid.
Right.
Well, you saw the difference in the replay between the first hit and the secondary hit against the elf. The first hit is like a wet noodle. I mean, maybe not a wet noodle, but it doesn't hit that hard.
Yeah.
Whereas so let's let the attack troops go. There we go. So the attack troops go, and your first hit. This is a wet noodle hit.
Mm-hmm.
Now I get a second turn. Because of the power of infantry, so I'm only hitting for 80% of my normal attack.
Right.
Yet, because the Regulus is only applied to the first hit, that second one just blows through everything. Because the Regulus no longer applies.
Right, absolutely. Damn. And you're able to crit against this elf, even though he's running probably 600% crit with her. With the
definitely.
With the Aldebarans, he's trying to crit with her, but all he's gonna get is crit damage reduction, not crit chance, because that guaranteed crit really puts Kamenzar in a league of his own, especially having the guaranteed hit plus the true damage. You know what I mean? He's definitely up there, and you're able to do that without Fumahal. That's the crazy part. You know what I mean?
Well, mm-hmm. I don't run Formal Hot in this particular setup because this is I am trying to hold an objective setup. This is not I'm trying to take a tank out of an objective. This is I'm playing this like an Orochi. I'm playing my infantry commander, in this case Tsar, I am the guy holding the stronghold and come and get me. Not as I'm playing it like an elf.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Whereas,
go ahead.
Whereas if I have all of these different variations of gear to run on SAR specifically for the situation that I'm in. So some of these are more damage oriented, like this one, where you have Formal Hot, Acela, Alcade, trigger on the chest piece, and then crit damage and accuracy on the pants. And so that has a lot more attack to it. And that's alright, someone else has a massive tank in an objective and you need to get it out. Well, this will blow right through it. Whereas some of these other variations are more, like this one, are more, the number 3 are more based on, I'm sitting in an objective, trying to hold it for the team, or running through a stack of defenders. There's all kinds of variations for one commander. So absolutely. I got about 8 or 9 different outfits for one commander.
I'm actually at the point where I'm just starting to build up swap sets, so it's starting to be nice, but still don't quite have it all yet. But I was running Puppet before, and Puppet, well, there really is no swap set.
Nope. Yeah, it's one version.
Well, I had 2.
Yeah, and could you put that?
I use blue hunks against tanks until they swap to dodge, and then I go to purples, and that was it. So yeah, running Comet Czar and now with more marches now is definitely has opened up the game for me in terms of strategy.
Can you click on the skin thing so I can see the full picture of Comet Czar? Yeah. Yeah, no, I just wanted to see that. I see the shoulder upgrade, and it looks like there's more stars inside of the wrist, the arm gloves, the hand gloves. Really nice, man. Guys, take a look at that, man. S-grade Comet Czar. Whew. That looks really pretty. Nah, sorry, it's like the Mewtwo of the game. I don't know if any of you guys agree, man. You know when Mewtwo came out like in Pokemon, and it was just like, wow, look, so different. Like obviously alien. You know what I mean? Like very, very different look. And I feel like Comet Czar is just like that 151 Pokemon for us. It's just like that, you know, it's beautiful, man. It's like it's obviously an extraterrestrial entity. I'm an artist. I don't know if you guys get down like me.
No, she's they've done, some of the skins they've done a really good job.
Mhm.
I think with some creative borrowing.
Absolutely. And getting back on the meta, you could jump back out. I think one of the things that we left on off of that were really interesting was I'm gonna make you go to that Rebellion if you can. I would love to get your breakdown of Rebellion, but I do feel you're absolutely right, man. What's it called? Plasma was useful, especially when he got his new weapon. You know, the quantum module increased his damage up to 400%. So now you know he's gonna blow up Dragon Slayers if you're running it properly. But at the same time, here comes Broken Fortress, and I love your breakdown of what Broken Fortress has actually done for offensive commanders. It has now opened up the gates for people to run offensive commanders and actually hold an objective. Before, like I was talking earlier on when we were talking about what would be the tier list for infantry in GC, what would be the infantry tier list in Cassidon. I love how for let's say Walker, those are very different situations. Those are going to be different commanders that are going to be in the top 5. It's going to be very different. But now that you've brought the fact up, the perspective from having Broken Fortress, you can now hold objectives with those offensive commanders. I think that's a functionality shift that didn't exist prior into the game. Would you not agree? Like that wasn't.
You would have to do it. You would always have to do it based off of dodging, and
okay.
it was based off of. It was always available if you were not up against a guaranteed hit commander. It would have to be based off of I am able to dodge and therefore hold. So the old, for example, a black where it's not a whole bunch of guaranteed hits. You could hold against those as long as you had the right setup. I used to, when I was a server boss, I used to run a dodge tank ghillie. So I ran a tank Stella build on a ghillie because it did really, really well because of the preemptive, and it did really well because of the fact that I ran high dodge, 600% dodge awaken.
And you saw more infantry tanks back before they brought in the force skill.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, tell us the Stella Lock.
Because then they brought in the force skill, and everybody became a Hancock man.
You're right. But the tank infantry build was primarily just tier 12 Stella or Mysterious Warrior, right?
I don't even remember Mysterious Warrior that much.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't either.
I really just saw Gilly and Stella.
Yeah, definitely. But let's hit the nail on that real quick. I think the two most unexplored, openly, of course they've been explored, but openly divulged and explored was Mysterious Warrior and Hubarian. Let's talk about Hubarian very quickly since he's on the screen right now. Let me get the take from Iron. Let me get your take from Oldman and then ScienceReligion. Iron, what can you tell me about your experience with Hubarian and when he came into meta? Tell me what your general consensus of that commander.
So I never played with him. I kind of played with him a little bit. Drew on absolute suppression on, but never really got to play around them. I don't like the first skill. It's too low. It's 30%, I believe.
30% we have on screen.
Yeah. So counter moves 40%. That's basically your rebound skill. But your first skill is your guaranteed hit, and I really don't like commanders that rely on a guaranteed hit but have a low proc chance. And 30% to me is too low.
Yeah, and do you know about if you trigger that with wings, it does full damage?
Well, yeah, anything that triggers by wings gets its normal effect.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying from his experience, he's saying he didn't really like it. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying it's a 30% chance to get your
it's a proc, yeah,
guaranteed hit versus not preemptive, but Nico scale sniper is 40%. Combat Czars is 40%. Most tier A list first strike guaranteed hit comms are gonna have a 40% hit skill.
So, what do you think? He was a hit and miss. What do you feel about Hubarian overall, in your experience? And then we're going to jump over to Oldman and then Science.
I think he tries to do two things, and that's my problem. He tries to get your guaranteed hit with your first strike with your backstab, but then his counter is your rebound damage. So he's trying. I don't like him.
Yeah, okay.
So.
Got it. No, trust me, everybody's gonna have a different experience. This is not like a skill check. This is just like I want to get 3 different perspectives on one commander, because I know personally, I'm an infantry main myself, and this commander I just didn't get enough perspective on. So, Oldman, what's your perspective on?
I'm gonna agree mostly. Any commander. The best builds you can build are very narrow, very specific. You're all attack, all defense. You're doing your one thing better than everybody else. This is an example of a commander did a little bit of everything, but didn't do any of them well. And to me, when I'm building equipment or I'm building a commander, I'm narrowing in. Like, for example, we can look at Tsar, gets a guaranteed crit. Well, I don't then need to work on crit chance. I can eliminate that, I can eliminate certain other things. And I want to eliminate things so the other things I can be really high on, whatever they are. And when I have to do a lot of everything, I'm never good at any of it. So it's one of those examples I could never make it into anything useful. Played a little bit and then tossed it and went on.
And ScienceReligion, obviously you're using them. You have them here at least. You're testing them. What did you feel your experience on Hubarian?
So the thing with Hubarian, as has already been mentioned, is he has a really low trigger rate. And so he is either going to do really well or very poorly. And as I'm sure the other two will agree with, you don't want to run Hubarian yourself, but you also don't necessarily want to run into him, because your opponent could just have some good RNG and trade way better than they should against you because they had good RNG. Now, most of the time, they won't. Most of the time, the battle will go exactly the way you want, but there are times where that Hubarian is just going to get some lucky RNG, and you're going to be like, well, that's messed up. This guy got all of the triggers he wanted. There was a low possibility of that happening, and he did well just because of dumb luck.
But he'll lose 19 times out of 20, and he'll show that one replay.
Yep. And you when you see him in a cap, right? You think to yourself, well, I would much rather face something else that is less RNG, that I know that is a more even outcome. At least that's for me. That's the case for me. Where if there's a lot of battles where way before the battle ever happens, I know exactly what's going to happen during the battle. I'm not worried. I'm not worried that I'm going to win. I'm also not worried about the losses I'm going to take. With Hubarian, I'm always thinking, well, is this guy going to get lucky or not? If he gets lucky, then this is going to hurt. If he doesn't get lucky, then then I'll be just fine. And so that's kind of the role that Hubarian fills. It's not a good role because it's not consistent, so you can't count on it.
Right, right. So, do you think that has changed now with all the trigger rate gear?
So his guaranteed hit is 2 hits instead of 1. One of which is the second hit, hits for an astronomical amount. So that second hit is going to be what is it? The multiplier on this is 3. So 180% on the second hit. Your first hit will absorb the Regulus.
Right.
Your second hit will be a true hit without Regulus messing with you. And I think there could be a potential if you're looking at like I'm wanting to run a 1-slot bust that is specifically geared towards messing with super hard tanks, then I think there's a place for him because you can also combine it with Power of Infantry. You know you're going to go twice with Power of Infantry. So if you have trigger gear, you have Power of Infantry, and you know you're going to essentially be able to bypass the Regulus on your hardest hitting portion of your hit, there may be a place for him. It'll still be some serious RNG, but if you're looking at like a real 1-slot bust that can hit like a semi truck, then there is a place. I think more so than before because of Power of Infantry, especially with Canes having taken away. If you have Wings of Eternity and trigger gear, then you probably can get one. But with Canes, you really can't rely on Wings of Eternity anymore. So now you're having to rely on Power of Infantry, which makes it still bad RNG. But it's bad RNG that could have some very good effects if you have Power of Infantry.
Absolutely. And I think we got everything on Hubarian. Was there anything that you wanted to last touch up on before we move to Mysterious Warrior?
We can pass on Mysterious Warrior.
I know
there's
nothing
not
about Mysterious Warrior.
it's
I know there's like dual blades and there's another skill, but that's about it. I don't know what they do.
So would you all agree that Mysterious Warrior was lost and forgotten for a reason, and not because he's untapped potential?
I've only seen one person run Mysterious Warrior successfully ever, and that's what's the guild that they were in our last cast, Oldman. They were on the southwest side. You know which one I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, but I don't remember the name. Yes.
And did he have a high skill trigger rate? What was it? And who did he fight against that made you guys go, "God damn, that was good"?
I'm not sure if I ever had that reaction, but he actually managed to kill a Reinhardt from time to time, just because he ended with more troop value, and the Reinhardt never could trigger to kill his troops.
Right. And you know his whole dodge thing, his whole first skill lockdown, you know, the double edge. That's why they said out of him and Stella, if you wanted more damage, you would just get Mysterious Warrior with wings. As opposed to if you had Stella with wings, you weren't going to get as much damage as Mysterious Warrior due to Mysterious Warrior's second skill. But yes, his first skill, dual blades, man. Even on my account, I have dual blades up to level 50. I think secretly with the penetration piece from the Sun Raven that gives you what's it called? I think it's the red one. It's called like the Saturn, but basically there's a penetration piece of the dual Sun Raven. That's the weapon, and it gives you. I'm going to it right now. Okay, I put it on
the
stream.
Trigger one.
Yeah,
the one
I put it on
that
stream
gives
for you
you
guys
trigger.
right now. It's called Sun Raven Mercury. Basically gives you penetration, attack, and skill trigger rate. right? And then you have the chest piece of the Sun, Raven, Saturn that also gives trigger rate. So I just feel like, you rock those two, maybe even two of these, two Mercuries, bro, just for the penetration attack and the trigger rate. But yeah, crazy expensive build. But hey, if you put that on you put this on Mysterious Warrior, he's triggering dual blades non-stop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I would rather put those trigger pieces on a Comet Czar at 40%, and which would bump those skill proc rate up to 60 or 70% instead.
No, absolutely.
The other issue that you would have is, so now he's definitely shutting down his opponent, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's hitting them. So
right.
So yeah, he doesn't have a guaranteed hit skill, which is very, very rough. So Old Man on his Stella doesn't have a guaranteed hit skill, and to make up for that, he's running an absurd amount of accuracy. Well, you're never going to be able to get there with trigger rate gear. You're just never going to get enough accuracy to make it happen. And while we're talking about infantry, we probably should also talk about the different troop types and which ones are actually valuable. Because unlike Air and Walker, where I think there's more different types that are valuable, there's less actual valuable ones within infantry. I'd say there's probably 2 or 3 tops, and all the rest are really not that good.
All right, let's go ahead and dive into that. Go ahead. Do you want to pull that up? Just go through some of the troops, even if you have to go through simulation, just so you can have access to all troops across the board. Could you just show us which ones you're talking about?
So you have the Transcenders, which they have HP damage. So Tear Space does HP damage.
Bypass is sweet.
Based off of the 20% of the initiator's current HP. You have Great Sages, which have the highest base attack per unit, and they gain a shield based off of their damage dealt. We have our Dream Eaters, which they take reduced damage. I never intended to research these. I only researched them so that I could evolve T11 to D's T12 to then evolve them to Vulcans. But I didn't necessarily ever want them.
I was wondering the same question, if I should do that.
Yeah, so it was worthwhile literally just researching the Dream Eaters to evolve from T11 to Dream Eaters to Vulcans, rather than repurposing.
I repurposed 6K Reds. It was painful.
Ouch. The Galaxy Guard, which I do not have researched, they heal. So they'll heal based off of that you heal more the higher your dodge is, which is pretty easy to get for infantry. Soul Reavers are your traditional accuracy troops, so they gain 200% base accuracy plus an extra 100% for any adjacent slot. And that can be anything. Doesn't have to be other Soul Reavers. Okay. And then our Vulcan.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, that accuracy, because a lot of people have misconception. It's column and row, so it's not diagonal. So if you're in slot, if you have troops in your purple in slot 2, and you're surrounded by troops, and it'll get the accuracy bonus from slot 3 and slot 5.
Right. It's orthogonal. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have either 200% or 300% max increase above the 200 already. So you get a total of 400 or 500.
Yeah.
And then your Vulcans, which upon the first action, they give crit and crit damage to a row of allied troops. So you technically would put them in like slot 1 or 3 or 1 or 4, and you buff the rest of your row. So if you put it in slot 1, then you buff slot 2 and 3. If you put it in slot 4, you buff slot 5 and 6, as well as themselves, I believe.
Yeah, as well as themselves, yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But the Transcenders and the Great Sage are probably the main ones that I use. I'll use a Vulcan from time to time just to buff Great Sages. But Great Sages are absolutely incredible. As you can see, I have quite a few of them. So that's just because they're such a great workhorse troop. And the other ones, I really only need to be able to run one slot of Soul Reavers, one slot of Vulcans, in case Great Sage need a little bit of a boost in damage, or if you have someone that's running dodge but not enough to dodge Soul Reavers, then you just want to have a slot of those available just in case. But the Soul Reavers have pretty putrid damage-wise compared to Great Sage.
They are pretty weak, and I did run them primarily on my puppet, but I was able to get by with it because it was a puppet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it did suffer against air tanks. So you have to choose what you're battling. You just can't just send out the same troop mix and expect to win every time.
Right. Oh, I gotta refresh this.
And the one thing I do have, I didn't never got the Dreamers. I did get Galaxy Guards, and I haven't really built any of them yet. But maybe if they ever fix some of their broken mechanics with Marak, and that Galaxy Guard does have.
If you guys write me a list, of some of the, I know we went over some of the ones here on the stream, but honestly, if you write me a list, I have direct communication with a lot of the people who get stuff over to the devs, and I've made some good suggestions in the past. I put it like this: I just have a good relationship with them, to the point where if you really want to get your queries heard or things fixed in the game, if you make that list, if you guys put it together, I can get them that list, and you will see the changes in game.
The most important one for infantry is that you fix the interaction between vulnerability and precise strike. Because the interaction is, if a slot has vulnerability on it, precise strike does double damage.
Right.
And so that's a very, very important interaction. Double damage is an extra crit. It's like getting a guaranteed crit. That's a very, very different interaction. If you are taking half of a slot that has Regulus on it, and then that slot blows you up, or you blew up that slot because this interaction actually works as intended, makes a very, very big difference for infantry when fighting air tanks. Yeah. Especially with a lot of the weaken that air tanks have, which helps them tremendously, as well as their nanoform. The nanoform really helps reduce the damage that air tanks take.
Yeah, I think it's the vulnerability just is not really applying its tag to the other talents, because it doesn't work with precise strike. It doesn't work with super thermal bomb, which is the same thing. It doubles the HP bypass.
Yeah, supposed to.
It's supposed to, yes.
Yeah, and my biggest obsession is actually with Cassitan and not with infantry. Change.
Yeah.
I'd like.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'd like to see them implement separate loss counters for attacking guilds, so that there cannot be weenie marches on defenders, and that each guild has its own. The defender has to verse each guild. So if they can't have a weak guild throwing stupid marches to ruin the game. That's just by separating the loss counters, so that each attacking guild, the defender has to match, and if any of the guilds get over the number, that they then are locked out. And so that to me solves the problem, makes the worst part of Cassitan go away.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you have so many guilds, it's almost like saying, hey, we're not going to increase the limiter on the loss counter. but essentially we've tripled or 4 times the amount of people that are attacking. It's like, what?
Well, what
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
is they send weenies, which allows the loss counter to stay in a good position when they really are losing. And they're losing versus one guild, but their allied guild is saving them, and it just ruined Cassiton. But by making the simple change of the defender must have a loss counter per guild that's attacking, and the one guild, so their friendly guild loses, who cares? But the guild that's really working to take it, they really have to fight and keep that loss counter down, or they're locked out. And that would solve all my problems with Cassiton. But I turned it in, it's ignored.
They've gotten, and they come up with dumbass solutions like, your base has to be level 3 now. It's like,
who cares?
You get 80 people sending the 5 million RSS with Cassidy resource mines. It's like not even a half a day's work.
No, the one I listed solves it. It just solves it. Each attacking guild, the defender has a separate loss counter for. Period. Yeah. And it's just done. You don't have to worry about whatever they're sending. If they're sending weenie marches from one guild, that guild doesn't count. It'll never affect the loss counter of the other guild that's being successful. And that's just my personal gripe.
Well, yeah, that's something that never should have been possible in the game.
Well, I just think, something comes up, fine. I'm always fine if somebody finds something, but as long as you correct it down the road or work at it to fix it, I'm okay with it. But you just let it go on, a negative impact to the game, it ruins the fun of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because we're not in that, and I promise you, it's literally just a minor error that the devs code it. They run their test and the things work. And when it goes live for some odd reason, the code just runs into something else, and it just doesn't run properly. And they just need to be notified. Hey, look, we ran the test. This isn't working. And once they see that, they do make the change. Just like I said, like nobody is running Monk. But yet they adjusted and fixed Monk's weapon to work properly, when prior it wasn't working and nobody was running those tests. So So at some point I'm just gonna get that list together. I'll probably bug you guys for it, and once I compile that list, I promise you, once I get that over to the devs and that change goes into effect, the game should run a lot smoother, and maybe matchups will drastically change once things are working properly.
Well, if they fix the way the infantry talent works, there's not a lot of air that would be safe.
So you think that they're just gonna we're technically not making it good because we know infantry would be air. Like, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Would you like to see why Stella is good?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Let's go and take a look. Do you have that replay for us?
Yeah, I have a replay. This is Inner Guild. This is from your friend Harris.
Yeah, yes. King Cunt himself.
Yes. So, you got it?
Mm-hmm. You're on stream.
Okay, let's do it. This is him, accuracy troops, everything, against a Stella. Yeah.
And what gems are you running? Are you running the Ares on this by any chance? What are you running? You running Virgo? No, I see. Okay, what are you running here?
You could see it a lot.
Oh, and Harris is a 600% dodge awakened here too, right?
Yeah. He's fully dodged. He's got everything going for him. He's got accuracy troops.
Bro, I see no gems on this, bro.
It's because of preemptive. So they're both running preemptive, so no gems are going to trigger in the first round.
Oh, my bad. I didn't see that had triggered. Okay, you're right.
He's he's running Airship Awakened. Yeah, Airship. Yeah, dodge for sure. And he's running preemptive, which is the most common build. And this is just him after him after him after him. Each one of these is just a full loss. No damage to my Stella. Not one. I have not. Since I created the Stella, I have only once. No, one time because I had to make a change versus foe. So after I made the change, after that, I have never lost a battle versus a black.
Jeez, and that's such an interesting Stella. Like when I'm looking at this build, where are you getting your damage from? Like, I see the penetration.
Watch again. I have no attack on my Stella. I repeat, no attack. I have no guaranteed hit. I have no attack. I have no penetration. I have very little DR.
Yeah, you have some penetration with the infantry weapon that also has a dodge, and then broken.
But the black doesn't have a lot of DR.
Mm-hmm. So. What?
The black doesn't
it's
have
all
a lot
the tear space. It's all tear space damage.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
So that's where, like, when I do builds, and I think I use spreadsheets. I spread out all the items, all the weapons, all the equipment, all the gems. Yeah, it makes it a little different. I know
Go ahead.
But no, it's this commander against pretty much black. Most Dragon Slayers can hurt it if they get all their procs, but usually I still win. And against most commanders of air type, I take out, except for Reinhardt and Orochi on certain instances. Mm-hmm. But it's done really well in GC. I don't think it's a Cassinton type build. But when you see, especially in GC, you see a lot of single slot marches, a lot of blacks, a lot of Dragon Slayers, and this one really can dominate those. I think Iron can attest to that it was a surprise when they first ran into it.
Yeah, absolutely, it was a surprise. It's solid, and I think when you're in a guild, you can, as big as EXE, you can afford to have also variety, which also helps.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
In a smaller guild, when if all you're relying on is a Stella, you're going to be in trouble. But when you have a lot of good support around you, that that scared me, man. I saw my first report and it's like,
what?
Oh, crap! 14,000 dead.
Yeah. And you probably what? Did you get any damage in?
No, I missed every time, and my headpiece had all ACC. I was running purples.
You could look what he's running. He's running 2 Alcades and a Tanglang. I mean, he should be doing pretty good with 2 Alcades.
Yeah.
And he was running accuracy troops.
Yeah.
So
and accuracy gems.
Well,
those were all accuracy. Everything there was
that headpiece, which no one ever uses, was someone finally found a use for.
Yeah. No, when I first worked on this, I said
no one uses that headpiece.
Correct. Yeah,
it gives the Stella all the stats that it wants: accuracy and dodge, and HP.
HP for the tier 12 terror space. Yeah, I'm just really the only HP that you're getting from that set is the headpiece and the chest, and I'm just looking around at. And Broken Fortress. I think Broken Fortress also.
Broken Fortress only has 300%. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're at how many? You're at over 1,000% HP, right?
Yeah.
1 second. Let's see here.
That is a very impressive. I think the most impressive Stella build I've seen in a very long time, because it's just the updated. It's not just it's the most updated Stella tier 12 build.
Oh yeah, it's just at about 1,000% hit points. But you'll see it has no attack, no crit percentage, no crit dodge. No. It just has dodge, accuracy, and hit points.
Absolutely.
And that's something about builds is whatever build you're doing, you want to concentrate on a specific thing and do whatever that is really well.
Like my puppet had no attack. My puppet was probably running around 400 attack. That was it. But it was able to hit almost everything except your Stella.
Yeah.
Right. Just for those watching, I'm gonna say something that was confirmed on the ranges page. I think maybe Uberox touched on it a little bit. Ark of War in its in its core, this is not a game where if you put 100, let's say a weapon has 100 attack, right? And you go, you know what? I like this 100 attack. It gives me this much of a damage increase. So I can expect, I can just double whatever I'm doing right now if I get to 200. That's actually incorrect. In this particular game, 100 attack versus having 200 attack is not 100 attack doubled. It's actually way higher. I'll probably jump to the page where I think it was Deranged. He had a chart where he showed the math, and it goes back to what ScienceReligion is saying right now. You want to focus on a particular thing, a stat in this game, because it's not. I'm gonna go back to the same basic math. 500. Let's use his stellar build for example. Having 500 HP is not equivalent to half of 1,000. 1,000 HP is drastically more than 500 HP. And do you guys know what I'm talking about? You want to further back this up, or should I just throw up on the stream the chart?
So it's actually it was Oldman that was saying about concentrating on the stat, but
Yeah.
it is accurate. What you're saying is accurate for attack. For HP, it's different.
Oh,
so
yeah.
HP is more a 1-to-1 correlation than attack is, because the formula for attack is exponential, whereas the formula for HP is not exponential. So the formula for HP is actually a more 1-to-1 relation than it is for attack. But you're 100% correct that for attack,
okay,
getting a 100% increase in your attack translates to a way more than 100% increase to your damage.
Okay, perfect. And I just wasn't sure also on how it correlated with the terror space. Like, is the terror space actual damage math similar to the attack math? Does anyone know?
It's just basing your damage purely on your HP.
Okay,
so it's actually the formula is just purely based off of how much HP do you have, 20% of that, and then the enemy's DR gets taken into account.
Okay, perfect. Okay, cleared it up. And this is why we have the top people here, just in case, my information's a little off. We go ahead and correct that, and we get you guys the best information and the most accurate. So thank you for that.
And again, you still have to hit what you want to hit.
Yes.
So you could have a puppet with 1,000 attack, but if you're missing all the time, that 1,000 attack is not doing you a thing.
Exactly.
Well, that's actually why when I march against people, one slot's accuracy troops, because even though I can hit almost everything, I still have troubles hitting a really dodgy infantry commander, and I can do that with the one slot.
You want to put up a sim?
Sure.
While he goes and puts up that sim, just for those watching that was wondering what I was talking about, this is the chart. This is the chart here that the range had, the attack chart that he had ran through. It's on the King and Crit Wither episode on his channel. If anybody wanted to know what I was referring to, there it is there. Once again, it's called the King and Crit Wither on Derange 87's channel, where he broke down that information. But
yeah, there you go.
Back to it.
So he came in, right. What do we got here? We got a lot of everybody getting hurt.
Yeah.
That's a lot of hurt.
Nobody wins on that one.
Yeah.
And just for those who got sidetracked to what I was talking about, what are we looking at here, gentlemen?
So this is essentially dodge versus dodge. And as you can tell, I'm not. So I just based off of what we've seen so far from this battle, I'm not doing enough damage early on because my build's too tanky. It looks like.
Yeah, he has.
Oh, I may not have put my. I probably don't have the right troop tech on. I didn't check my troop tech.
It could easily be a variety of reasons. Yeah, because I would have expected if he's gone full dodge, it's going to be hard for me because I'm really going to rely on like one set of units to get it done if he gets it high enough. Mm-hmm. So, and that's something else, that rock, paper, scissor.
Yeah.
No build is the perfect build. Maybe in the old days there was Rogers or there was something else that was, the only build possible. But today, there are counters to everything. Yeah. And the more powerful the commander is, the more people, like Reinhardt, you'll see zillions of sister wolves. People will put up builds to counter other builds. Sometimes building what everyone else does is, if you're a smaller commander and you're working on a Reinhardt, everybody knows Reinhardt and everybody on the other side will have a counter for it. Sometimes it's trying to find something just a little different that maybe they don't have a counter for, or fill a niche. Mm-hmm. And that's also important. The big boss can have the big full march of whatever it is, and the others are single. It's like you see all the kings in their single slot marches. They really can be effective for their guild, It's like, later you see full march Dragon Slayers, but early on, single slot Dragon Slayers are super effective. They get their first strike and they're gone. They're out of there. They don't hang around any longer because, they shot their wad and they're done.
Yeah. You're not trying to get hit back and lose a whole bunch of troops when you don't.
No, you're not. And so you've got to play your commander to their strength and not just sit there and go, you have to understand your strength and weaknesses of every one of your commanders and then play to those strengths and not to your, and play against your enemy's weaknesses. And that's part of learning the mechanics and learning, order of operation, troop order. Where do you want to put a loss? Do you want to lose a first slot, or do you want to be strong in the first slot and lose the second so you can have first strike? There's a lot of that, and that depth in this game is what really makes this game interesting to myself, and I think Test can attest to that too, is we enjoy breaking down those mechanics and finding things and going, if we just switch this same troops around and leave this slot empty or weak, then we're going to beat this because he's going to kill our slot 1, but we're going to get all of our other slots are going to be strike first, and that's going to end this very badly for them,
Absolutely. I would almost go so far as to say, it's just elaborate on what you're talking about here. When you know the game well, there's possibly 5 different reasons why you win a match. And what you're trying to find for is what are the consistent elements that brings this character the victory versus this character. And which ones can he not change so much, and which ones can I take advantage of? Like the ones he can't change, I could take advantage of those and possibly pull out a victory. Hence the Reinhardt's running Kane to turn off Steam Cannon for the first round against Sister Wolves. That's a small variation on the gems. You might have to take off Hercules, and you're like, damn, but Hercules gets me a lot of wins. But you can be that one Reinhardt that takes off Hercules and puts on Canes. Now you're the Reinhardt that's beating Sister Wolf, and you have to basically force that Sister Wolf to now get power of walkers. And then, the meta shifts back and forth depending on what talents you have and what gear you have access to.
Well, like me fighting Test right here. Mm-hmm. If he had posted the battle, he would have gone first. Then I would have gone second, but my Broken Fortress would work.
Right.
And so I would have seen an improved result by not being first. And that's also realizing what order, again, would give you the most advantage.
Absolutely. There's just so many, and that's the depth of the game that we're talking about. Just knowing that all the elements and the little facets that actually bring us the win. I know on one of the ones on my channel that I talk about a lot is I was at 25 million power, and I fought a Hancock with my Hancock. So my Hancock, I'm 25 million power. I had a Hancock. I sent it to a tile. This other guy was attacking my tile, and he was 135 power, right? And he had Hancock, higher leadership, better gear, everything, right? So he swings at my tile, right? He ends up losing. And I laughed immediately before I even saw the replay. I was like, I bet this idiot don't have Cassiopeia. And sure enough, when I looked at the replay, he didn't have Cassiopeia. So just that alone, you know what I'm saying? And it's things like that small little thing right there is what we're talking about here of knowing the small little intricacies on why a person will win a battle versus a person losing a battle. And that's what keeps the smaller players coming back when they see that they can beat a bigger player if they're like, if they have the tactics right and they take all the win conditions into account.
I will say,
And now, and now that's what
go ahead.
That's what makes 3-piece Sun Raven, I think, toxic to gameplay.
Because it removes that. It removes it. Yes, this is true.
I think personally, what you do is, just my attitude is, you are more apt to learn from your defeats than your victories. Yeah. And I think first EXE, both of them can both attest to they've both been in a position where they've lost significantly. And I've been in other guilds where you lose significantly, and you reevaluate and go, okay, what did we do right? But what are all things we did wrong, and how are we going to fix those to counter? And that's critical for the health of a guild to survive, is to be able to come together and solve those problems. And so the next time you go out there, you're going to win, not lose.
Absolutely. And I want to thank everybody for everything that we've covered. I think we covered a lot. Was there anything else that we left on the table, gentlemen? Was there anything on the table that we didn't cover as far as infantry?
I think we could talk about infantry for the next 48 hours.
No, of course not. Of course, we're not going to do that. We're probably going to do another session like this, or remember, I do streams every week. You guys can jump into the open ones, or we'll even do another infantry one. But I definitely will say for everybody watching, the next one that's going to happen is going to be airship. I'm going to have the top 3 airship guys together, doing the same thing like this. Probably next month when I release the airship beginner series. And I'm gonna cover everything on my channel. So I know some people were like, "Hey, you don't have any commander breakdowns of like one commander, or you don't have any breakdowns of like SWE, tier suppression, and the basics." Guys, I'm gonna go over that stuff. I'm a fairly new YouTuber. I've only been doing this for 6 months, and my primary goal was to make innovative, creative content. And I think I've achieved that, especially with the video edits. If you guys see my video editing skills, really up there, especially to make Ark of War look entertaining. And so now that I have the skill on the video editing side, now I'm more focusing on increasing my library's depth. Making sure when you come to my channel, you can find that sweet video, that you can find the melange video on how to recycle melange and get kind of a machine going there. Of the video on SWE, how much is needed, how much the counter act that. But I just want to give these guys, let me see, I'm not going to take up their whole night, but I want to go touch upon the topic of what advice all the way across the board would you guys give to new infantry players? Let's start with, let me get Iron. Can we start with you, brother?
I would say just, focus on, have a goal, be open to suggestions from your guildmates or wherever you get your information from, but be open and basically, take that suggestions from your peers to see where you go, because using your avenues to get extra information to improve your build will help you immensely over trying to do everything yourself, especially as a new player. There's so much hidden information in the game that it just is not known.
Right. And so, can you touch upon the topic of when a new infantry player should transition from, like, let's say early game, which is like when they're running bullet, rock, and those early commanders. When should they transition from like running a bullet? Speaking on infantry, go from a bullet to, let's say, mechanical puppet, Comet Caesar, Stella. When should they be transferring over like that main leadership and then start taking those risks with the troops? When do you feel is a good amount of leadership or a good set of gear? When do you feel that transition will happen? Iron.
I think it really depends on the planet where you're at development-wise, what your goals are. If you're a newer player but you jumped into a more mature planet, then you may want to go into the specialty build. It's hard to say because it's been such a long time. It's been a really long time for me. So
Right.
I went over from I transitioned over from Walker T10 over to infantry. So
Right. I think it was a great
I
change, by the
never.
way. Good change. All right. So, all right. On that topic, I'll just say that a few people told me I think their preferred time to switch over was around 200,000 leadership. When you reach no 200,000 or 300,000. I think it's probably 300,000. When you reach around 300,000 leadership, that's when you can get off those commanders. If you wanted to main, like a full commander, not necessarily like a tier 1, tier 2. We're talking about, let's say you hit tier 7, somehow you're at 300k leadership, or tier 9. I would say you would really want to start PvP in a tier 9. But when you're at 300k leadership, tier 11, tier 12, that's when you should make that transition if you want to learn how it is to play with those big troops. And of course, there's no point in making that transition. Let's say taking 300k leadership off of your bullet and putting it on, let's just use Stella for example, or Gilly. There's no reason to do that change if you haven't already built the troops. Guys, this is already assuming that you've built the army for the high end, leadership that you're gonna have, and then you're just like, all right, I'm running big boy now. Boom. Now you make that transition over after you've built the troops. You have 300,000 leadership. You do that. Let's go ahead and get Oldman. What's your advice to new players? You kind of heard the question there. So advice to new players, when should they make the transition and things like that? Things they should look out for.
They should be a sponge. They need to learn anything and everything. Every video, all their experienced players, diplomacy of war. Discord's always a great place. Learn. Educate, eradicate. You learn, you will eradicate. You just got to learn, and then you'll learn when you can use your forces and actually have a positive effect. Whatever it is, however the dynamic of that world is or that battle is, if you know how to play your forces, you will get positive results if you play them right. Otherwise, you're just going to have to pay the bill to fix them. That's the other thing. Mm-hmm. It's a brutal world. You're going to have to, and we've all done it. We've all made marches. We've all been wiped something and gone, okay, that didn't work. And you better learn why it didn't work.
Right. Don't let the sting hold you back from the knowledge, because you learn more in your losses than you do in your wins.
Absolutely.
Right. And Science, what's your take on it, brother?
As my colleagues have mentioned, learning is going to be the most important thing. And when we're playing infantry, it's a high risk, high reward. So you need to understand that when you're playing infantry, your job for your guild is to be able to effectively trade with stronger opponents. That's what infantry excels at, and so that's what you want to have as goal when you're playing infantry. And so you want to see, if I'm going to make that swap, is this going to make me more effectively trade with stronger opponents? And if the answer to that is no, then you are not ready for that swap. So if you're on a server and you were to swap from, let's say, a bullet to a Tsar, are you going to be able to more effectively or less effectively trade with the strongest on whoever you are facing? And if the answer is no, then that swap is not the right swap. Because as infantry, your job is, as the highest risk, highest reward troop type, your job is to trade effectively with those that are stronger than you.
All right, perfect. And this one's a common one that I want people to really dig in on this next question here. What's your advice to new players that get wiped for the first time, or they just get that bill report that just really discourages them? What's your advice on how you bounced back and how you got back on your feet from that loss? Anyone that wants to jump at that one.
I'll jump at that one. Be thankful it's low tier troops.
Right.
Good time to learn is low tier troops. They aren't that expensive to rebuild. Because because it's going to cost a lot more at high tier.
Mm-hmm. And everybody needs a shield and a meat wall. If you're a Nemesis Ark, those that know what a Nemesis Ark is, they know you have box troops that fit in your that fit in your hospital. But if you are not a Nemesis Ark and you're not running, let's say, a maximum of, let's say, 30,000 troops, you need a meat wall. And you see right here as you pull it up on stream, 23 million Ranger meat wall. If you don't have a 20 plus million Ranger meat wall, you have no business ever being unshielded.
Right. And don't go into GC because you will be swung on. And it's not necessarily don't go into GC, but just be careful. Just gold skip if you see invaders marching your Ark, because if you don't have a big enough meat shield, you're putting yourself in a really bad situation. And remember, before you leave GC, be sure to heal those troops, because if you go back to server side with only the timer up and you didn't use the speed ups to clear out that medical bay, you'll have to pay for resources server side. So
I think they fixed that. They fixed that.
Yeah, they didn't fix it, but you can put a ticket in and they will heal your troops.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, that's not as bad as it used to be. But
I did have a personal experience where I had a mix of troops in the med bay being healed, and then I got marched on and lost a whole bunch of troops and zeroed in GC. And it just takes time and it's a pain in the ass. So
was that recent? Because I thought that they
about a year ago. So
because they auto heal them now when you leave GC. They put them all in the med bay.
Yeah, that's the problem. I think I was healing some for a battle, but then I got a work call and I went AFK and I got zeroed in GC. So I had troops in the heal queue, and then I got booted out. So then I had more troops in the med bay. So I didn't perma lose them, but it took like 4 or 5 days for 7P to heal it out. Yeah.
I do think that now, even if you have a queue going, my understanding was that it now just gets added to the existing queue. But cool. I'm not sure.
I'm not 100% sure. Yeah,
but I think they fixed it. They probably had that happen sufficiently frequently enough that they decided, let's just fix this altogether to actually work as intended.
Yeah, you still have to shield up when you get on server because you only got 8 minutes or whatever it is. Which is, I've seen enough people forget that.
Right. God, I'd love to have like 1 hour shields in the store.
Yeah.
Especially for PvP.
For cat fights in PvP, like 1 hour. I would like to have 5 minute shield, but I know that's kind of unreasonable. But like a 1 hour, 2 hour shield would be awesome.
Yeah, and a much
back to the meat shield. I was going to say, a full hit from a full leadership commander around 2 million is going to cost you 6 million Rangers. So, like what Tess was saying, he had 20 some odd million. That's good for about 3.5 hits.
I'm sitting on 60 million.
Yeah, I'm sitting on 122 million.
Those are jerks. Yeah, I wasn't even playing.
Yeah, I got I got 100 million Rangers and 38 million Yeti now.
Okay, so that just so you have an idea how ridiculous the meat shields are.
Yeah. Basically, you should always be building Rangers. Always. When you're sleeping, you should be building Rangers. If you don't know, you should know. Anyway, when you're sleeping, you should be building Rangers. When you're awake, you should be building Rangers. It's just that's why your phone literally tells you, you just finished building Rangers, so you could just pop back in, set them back up, and keep it going.
And in power rules, you should be building Yetis.
Oh. Yeah, for your power, if you want to definitely get into those guilds, show that you're a beefy little guy.
No, but even like you got your events, your power rule, because Yetis work just as well as Rangers.
Right.
If you're if you're an infantry main. If you're an infantry main, those Yetis, those Yetis will come after you've wiped out all your infantry.
Yeah, I know, but still, I still consider it a meat shield.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
for sure. I think this is a special question that I really want to ask. And it's really your guys' questions. Let's start with Iron. Iron, you have ScienceReligion here, and you have Oldman. Any questions that you wanted to ask them, or anything that you wanted to possibly have them test, or something that could help you out personally?
was one of those things that I was trying to figure out. I'm trying to do more things with Comet Czar, but I'm trying to figure out ways to mitigate damage and what plugins to go in, and one of the things I was looking at was, now that we know Marak is still broken, so we can't rely on that until that gets fixed. I don't know whenever that gets fixed. It's been out for a year already, so it still has not fixed. So I don't know when that's going to happen, but there's other skills that mitigate damage as force skills, as either as passives or non-passives. What are your options? Because force skills right now are pretty limited on most comms.
Well, I've never run anything other than preemptive as a force skill on SAR, because realistically, the battle rarely is going to last past round 1.
Yeah.
So if your battle never goes to round 2, then preemptive is the highest value plugin for high dodge SAR, which is, I run mine almost in all versions as high dodge, and so you're just getting disproportionately high value out of preemptive, and all of the others. Yeah, I mean,
have you come in contact with a 3-piece set and the rebound damage you're getting back on it?
Well, so if you're concerned with rebound damage, then you can't be running a commander that has a lot of damage. So SAR's, frankly, then just not a good option, because you don't want to like completely reduce the damage on SAR to prevent it from blowing itself up on the rebound. And if you were to go that route, well, then you lose against all the matchups that you're supposed to be good at, which is your tank airs, because you're not going to have enough damage to take out a tank air or a tank walker. So
that's what I was saying is, like, you have preemptive, and it's like, I understand the reasons behind that, but I was thinking, possibly if you're going up is, I haven't tested it yet, was chain of contact. Is it chain of contact?
The chain of contract, maybe.
Battle maiden skill. That's what he's talking about, right?
Yeah.
I'm pulling it up on the stream right now.
There's a few things I've been looking. Just haven't had a chance to test it. I literally just swapped over leadership like a week ago.
Chain of contract.
And unfortunately, still waiting for some refugees to come back from other planets to test against other 3-piece sets.
So you referring to Regal as a refugee now? I like the analogy.
Yeah. Them and a few others. Yep.
Yeah.
There's a silent laugh, so I didn't know niggas was laughing off camera.
So I think you want to look at it as what job do you want SAR to do, and if you want the job to be, let me take out DPS damage dealers with 3-piece Sunraven, then I don't know if SAR is the right commander for the job. Yeah. Because you can adjust all the gear to make it work, but there's far more efficient commanders that actually will do that job than for you.
But you know how it is. You're sending to a cap, and there's like 6 you got to go through.
Yeah, you got to pull. You got to port your Ark because there's I don't think right now there is a build out there that will let you run through air tanks as well as deal with the reflect.
Yeah, that's the thing right now. That's
I'm halfway thinking I can do it. I'm halfway thinking I can do it.
I was doing it through Dom, and because I was going through Ganji's elf. Yeah, I would lose a slot, but that's not too bad. But but then you hit a black with with rebound damage, and of course I couldn't pull because there was 2 of us.
Yeah.
All right, and I believe Oldman was saying something. You had what?
Well, there's certain commanders. Okay, I think
your Stella build as it is, as you is great for the reflect. You just can't deal with tanks.
right. The only way. See, I have to test it. I think like we're all having to test it because since I don't do any serious attack damage, and the damage rebound is attack damage.
Yeah.
I'm lots of hit points. I hit like a wet noodle for the attack part. So if you rebound half of my wet noodle, that's half a wet noodle. That's not much.
And Terror Space doesn't count as a main attack.
Correct. That's why
I put it up in the sim.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, can we please test that? Can we share screen on that, please?
I put it up.
Let me look here. Let's see here. You are there. This is 3-piece set. Okay.
Real quick, somebody share screen, 444, please. I know there's people drooling in the chat.
Once to make sure.
Mm-hmm.
You know why this is working, old man?
Why?
Because of your accuracy, and I'm not running enough dodge. So let me make the following adjustment.
Okay.
Oh my god, can we get the guys? You're forgetting to put the like I'm watching, I'm listening too, and I want to know. Iron wants to know. Iron wants to see this,
Well, it's all going to happen, but it's just this is all these critical permutations you got to do to find out that one build.
Yeah, a lot of testing. A lot of testing.
I don't have a weapon with enough dodge at 50 or headpiece at 50 because it would
Do you need me to share it again? You're asking? Is that what you want?
Yeah, if you could share this. No, if you could share your screen so that we could put it on the stream, but because you're hitting me in round 1, right? I haven't even looked at the replay, but I'm assuming based off of the results alone that you're landing hits in round 1.
We both exchanged pretty well. It wasn't like a super. Let's see if there's any more different. Yeah, here's one that really hurts. I'll pick the one that I look the best in.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's the right of the person posting.
Yeah. So it's because I don't have enough dodge.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So are you sharing your screen?
Yeah, I have it up there.
Man.
I have it up there.
Okay. On the YouTube, right. Okay, there we go. So you see that my issue here is, unlike our previous battle between Old Man and myself, where I have enough dodge in round 1 to utilize my preemptive. When I run the 3-piece Sunraven set in my current iteration, I don't have enough dodge to dodge him in round 1, and that's why this is a trade that goes bad for both of us.
Yeah, now, that's why I'm not completely satisfied with the 3-piece set right now, but I do realize there's a need for it. But
so Old Man's build will work well against 3-piece sets that don't have enough dodge to dodge him in round 1.
And what are we seeing as far as the reaction on Terra Space damage versus the reflect damage? Is the 3-piece Sunraven reflecting the Terra Space damage?
It does not.
It does not.
Okay, it does not. Perfect. Okay.
Just standard attack.
And that gives the advantage back to that Terra Space troop, because once again he's hitting like a wet noodle, and all the damage is coming from the Terra Space. I'm telling you, like just the how Ark of War is made. There's so many reasons why you win a match, and that's how you know that at its fundamental level, there's a great game.
But here's the thing: I can just barely, depending on what I use, I can take on some air, like an Orochi on certain instances. But if the Orochi had it, I would lose because he would have he'd do enough damage that I can't do enough damage to him, and he'd heal and he'd be okay and he'd win. So it's gonna play a critical role. Like it will reduce the number of commanders I can take on.
Yes.
So the only thing, with the Orochis, if they go to if the tanks go more to 3-piece Sunraven set, they're going to lose all their crit with her.
Yeah.
Which opens them up to not really to infantry. Infantry really doesn't crit other than Tsar, but they'll open themselves up to other builds.
And I see Fighter in the chat. Oh snap, dude! How did I miss all that? Fire says hi, all enjoying the chat. GC to watch this week. Win versus FBI is gonna be messy. Put the flame. I made flame emoji. Yeah, I'm surrounded by good people. Fire also says, yeah, thanks very much. A team effort. Win. CHN. Lots of planning and management. I spent most of my time managing the guilds, and he puts like quarterly eyes. Let's see here. He says, yeah, 24/7. I see test subject was chatting with him also. Yeah, shout outs to you, Fire. You were actually defending me on the Facebook when this guy was saying that my content was not impressive, all because he saw like a 40 mil art but didn't understand the voices that were in the podcast were of, the best of the game. Like, what the So maybe he didn't fully speak English, so but shout outs to Fire for defending me on that Facebook there conversation. And I want to transition over to was that Oldman, was that your question that we just tested?
I don't think so.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get Oldman. Oldman, you have Iron and you have Test ScienceReligion here. I know you and ScienceReligion are in the same guild, but what questions do you have that you would like to go ahead and ask your peers at this high level of infantry?
Well, it'll have to be Iron because Tess and I talk all the time. So I think Iron. What do you think the next real change for the meta is for infantry? What's going to be the next thing that will allow infantry to maybe someday be as good as air?
I think infantry's fairly on par, but it's really at that fine end. I think air can get away with a little more. There's more spread that allows them to get away with stuff. I think mainly because
it can be more sloppy.
Because all air has to do is hit one slot, and they blow everything up. And with infantry, it's tough out there, and I think you got to really focus on you got to focus on the strengths of infantry. You got to focus on the accuracy, or not the dodge if you're dodging, or your damage. And it kind of the way our builds have been working. It's test subjects is dodge. Yours is definitely dodge and accuracy on your Stella, and mine was damage and accuracy. But yeah, I'm not sure where the meta is going because that new set kind of threw me for a loop. So, and soon we're probably going to be seeing the 5-piece set soon, which really I'm not sure what that random RNG of 5 different rolls of 20% is going to do. But
I think we're going to see more sets with, like, I call them Diablo type setups, where we see you have 1, but if you have 2, you get this. You have 3 or 4, you get this. I think that's going to be something they're going to continue to do.
Just make a change to the 3-piece bonus for the love of God. Take the reflect off and just have it be first strike.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Even though I've already been invested in it, I wouldn't be against that change.
No, me neither.
It's fair to everyone else.
It's more balanced. I mean, you should have a very strong 3-piece bonus for that set. Why do you need 2 very strong 3-piece bonuses for one set? Nothing else has that.
Yeah.
I mean, gems have 1 strong 3-piece bonus. Why do you need 2 separately unbelievably strong bonuses for a set? Just doesn't make sense. It's too much.
Absolutely.
So one or the other. Either first or reflect. Not both.
Yeah. So, test subject, here's your opportunity. You have your peers here. What questions do you want to ask them? Maybe solve something that you're working on. So go ahead and shoot your shot.
Well, I'm very fortunate that I get a lot of I have a lot of ability to reflect with peers, whether it's in the guild or with friends that we have in first or other guilds. So it's not really, I don't really have any questions at this point in time.
Well, it could be open.
I,
Like it can be open, like Oldman just said, a question about the meta. Where the meta was going to go ahead. So it can be anything open like that. But at the same time, you could be right. You test so much that pretty much you wouldn't really have any questions.
yeah, yeah, I'd say just because of good access to information, surrounding yourself with the right people and having good places that you can ask questions helps have less questions and get a better understanding. So I'm very fortunate that I've had a lot of great mentors in the game and a lot of very knowledgeable people help me when I do have questions. So I have less questions later.
Right. Here, I'll ask a question on your behalf, and maybe this is a question of my own. Yo, what do we gotta do to get Gilly to deal 100% damage, 100% penetration while still wearing attack gear? Because when you put on the, like, let's say her non-violent skill, non-violent resistance, right? That's 90%. When you put on the Andromeda, let me throw it up on stream. When you put on the 3-piece Andromeda and you get that 10%, that extra 10% is actually 1%. Because you already
you can't do it. It's not possible.
Right. So what
so
you go ahead.
You just commit to you're only gonna ignore 10%. You're gonna only ignore 90%, and you still commit to full attack gear. But you don't. There, other than running full pen on Gilly, which then Neko hits way harder.
Mm-hmm.
You just don't commit to if you're running an attack based Gilly, you do not commit to being full pen. Yeah. You just accept that you're going to ignore 90%, 10% is not going to be ignored, and you stack that attack sky high. But there's no way to get there without running full pen. And if you're running full pen, then essentially her guaranteed hit becomes just that. A guaranteed hit. You get zero value out of the ignores 90% of defense. And at that point, Neko hits way harder.
Yeah, absolutely. And simply because you got to look at what you're trading. Like, let's say you were to have 80% penetration on Gilly. That means you're literally saying, oh, I have a skill that does 90, and when that skill doesn't proc, I do 80% normal. It's just not worth it. Like, at the end of the day, it's just not worth putting on that 80 as opposed to, like, the same effects that you get with Vega, where you're getting 120. Like, of course, that extra 10% is astronomically better to have 120% penetration versus 90. But the base attack of Infantry is so high that you're still going to hit very, very, very hard, especially if you just throw on that extra attack gear. As you guys can see on the stream, just throw on that extra attack gear. Just don't worry about the 10% and go for it. Yeah, that's just how we got to run it. But you can also just run Vega with tier 9 and 10 if you really want to get that extra, penetration through there. But
with stacking attack, you can reach some absolutely absurd numbers. Because
I'm gonna throw your.
I've run a.
Go ahead.
I've run a version of Star where you're stacking attack and crit damage, and on something that's not running a final defense or absolute defense. Like, you can get close to 1 trillion damage on a slot.
Jeez.
So if it doesn't have any way to really mitigate it with defense, so you're full pen and you're stacking crit damage and they don't have crit wither, then you can reach these numbers that are just you'd never think that you would ever see in the game.
Right. And yeah, thank you for that breakdown because I'm a Gilly player, and you know, I don't want ever want to have to replace her. What would you say to the Gilly mains out there? What are the anyone could jump in on this one? What would you say right now at the highest levels? What are the go-to fourth skills on Gilly? Me personally, you know, obviously it's the wings. It's the what's this skill called? It's either wings, twin, or what is that skill called? We were just talking about the lockdown skill from Dual Blades. Yeah, so those are like the three go-to for me. It would be wings, twin, and then dual blades to go full.
You can try it. Mm-hmm. You can try a lightning strike as well, which will guarantee you a crit.
Lightning pierce.
Lightning pierce. Sorry, yeah. Lightning pierce will guarantee you a crit.
Ooh, nice. That's a good one. That's a very good one. Yeah, because it's
so lightning pierce is not the one that guarantees you the crit. It gives you the ignored.
Oh, the true damage. Oh, the true damage. Sorry. Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
True damage.
Right,
yeah. So, and it's a passive skill. So when your opponent runs canes, it does not get removed, and you still get your force skill, which that makes it insanely valuable. So I run that on my T10DS. Or I would run that on Ira, even though Ira's going to ignore DR. If Ira, for example, accidentally doesn't miss, then you still are ignoring a good portion of DR, like SAR does.
Right. Let's see. And the chat, my bad. Throw that up. All right, perfect. So other than that, you know, I don't want to take you guys up all day. I think we have covered so much in such a small time. And if the fans want it, and if you know we have the time and to match everything up like we did today, we'll link it up again. But guys, let's give everybody your outros. Let's start with let me see here. We'll start with Iron. Give everybody your outros. Air out your dirty laundry. Did somebody hit your towels and you're coming for them? Let them know. Yeah, give your shout outs.
Never really had beefs against anyone. I want to thank everyone here, yourself for organizing it, Test and Oldman, and the listeners first. Yeah, and I definitely learned a lot here doing this, and I'll do it again.
Shout outs to any guild members. Is the guild you're in?
Oh, the whole guild. Everyone's awesome.
All right, perfect. And Oldman, you want to get? I'm sorry, did I cut you off?
No, not at all.
All right, perfect. Oldman, give your shout outs once again. Air any dirty laundry, somebody that touched your towel, somebody you going after, any old rivals?
No. I server side, I'm boring. Thanks everyone for showing up. Thanks for hosting us and letting us just BS and show off our arcs. I appreciate it, and let's all just have some fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
ScienceReligion, go ahead and give your outro. Any dirty laundry?
No dirty laundry whatsoever. Just like Oldman, I'm very boring server side. Never hit anybody. Never hit any tiles. We'll just show up for CAS and GC. And I'll give a shout out to Neva because he's always hitting me with that Sui set and just murdering me. So shout out to Neva. And obviously, thank you all as well tonight. And shout out to the whole EXE guild. I know I've been on a little bit of a break after CAS and after playoffs, but all these guys have been holding it down as always. So I'm looking forward to doing a little bit more as we start having some more difficult matchups and it gets more fun.
Perfect. And I see here Clint just joined in the last minute here. It says Clint, he's saying, cool, I'm listening for 5 minutes and I'm liking it, the outcome. Damn, should have been here sooner. He puts the beer thumbs up and beer clink emoji. And let's see here. But yeah, everybody gave their outros. I want to thank, do my outro. I want to thank everybody for showing up. Iron, Oldman, ScienceReligion. Seriously, thank you guys so much for coming through. Doing this for the community, because this is as much as I learned here, I learned a lot, and I'm definitely gonna go back and rewatch this and try to make some highlight reels. Guys, everybody that keeps up my channel do know that I'm behind on the Infantry 3-part series that should have came out on the 3rd. I've just been backed up with a lot of things, making great content like this, as you can see here. And I'm also behind on the shorts. I should be doing shorts of all my content, so that way if you're ever scrolling through YouTube checking out shorts, randomly you'll have some Ark of War shorts. Oh, one last question here. Is Ghost Smash better than Devastation Helm for Lady and the Beast? What tier are you running? If you're running tier 12, maybe Ghost Smash. What was it?
Dev Helm should always be better, right?
Yeah, Devastation should always be better. Maybe if you're running tier 12 with Terra Space, you can run Ghost Smash.
Lady and the Beast's main skill doesn't crit. It's like Mind's Eye. So
Right. Okay.
whatever gives you more attack.
Yeah, Dev Helm should give you more attack than Ghost
for sure.
Mask.
Yeah. So the final answer on that one is Prophet. I'm getting that in for you last minute, even though we're all about to get out of here. Dev Helm is the answer for that one. And Eric, I see you. Eric says, greatly appreciate everyone participating. Awesome session. Thank you, Eric. And for everybody who didn't see it, I have another live stream that I just did earlier this week with the top 2 walkers, which was the Range 87 and Balu, or Otter, Sir Otter. That's a better, more commonly known name. And unfortunately,
I'm gonna call my guilty Balu from now on.
That's his name on the Discord.
I know.
Okay.
I'm gonna call him Balu.
Yeah, but yeah. Thank you everybody for tuning in, and thank my guests for showing up and doing this for the community. Seriously, this is invaluable stuff. Thank you for guys sharing your arcs, showing the builds. And I wish you guys the best in GC and everything moving forward, because this is the legacy you leave behind. There's going to be some noobs who come and watch these, this live stream, and they're going to say, "Wow, I got to see the top 3 infantry players drop knowledge." You know what I mean? They're probably never going to be on the same planet with you guys. You know what I mean? But they were able to be in the same echo chamber and absorb the knowledge here today from what you guys have done for us. So thank you, Iron. Thank you, Oldman. Thank you, Test Subject. We really appreciate you. I'm saying that for myself and the community. And other than that, I think that we're good. Ladies and gentlemen, it's your host with the most is signing out.
All right, thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
Yep.